Hello and welcome to another episode of Funbearable. I'm Brad Rohr.
I'm Chuck Staten.
And I'm Ray Harrington.
And we have a special clip? We have a special podcast for you today.
Yeah, how long do you say because
clip.
There's going to be a video portion. Like this is the intro to something else that's happening.
Yeah.
And
I think this is the clip.
This is the clip.
yeah, because I was going to say like
Intro clip.
How long is a video before you can't say that's not a clip anymore? Like when can you
video?
say like that's not a clip, that's a video?
I think it depends on the length of the actual thing.
Yeah.
Because if you have a mini-series that's 8 episodes long and you show 10 minutes, that's a clip.
That is a clip.
But if you have a 15-minute video and you show 10 minutes, it's almost the whole
That's
thing.
almost that's 2/3 of it.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, I think we should ask probably Crocodile Dundee because he would say that's not a clip.
That's not a clip.
This is a clip.
Yeah.
And then he shows you like,
a paperclip.
Like a dog like falling down the stairs. And you're like, that's not funny.
Then he shows you a diagram from sex ed of a clitoris, and you go, oh, no, that's a different word.
Well, maybe in Australia.
Maybe.
So,
can you imagine? Oh, that's not a clip.
You got to tell your big clit story.
Oh, it's not mine.
Not now, later.
It's not mine.
What?
All right, so anyway.
Everybody tuning in for Jason Lee is like,
What are these guys talking
why are
about?
they doing Australian clips?
So we've been doing, all of us have been podcasting for years and years and years.
Yes.
And one of the things that
they won't
Brad,
let me stop.
one of the things that Brad and I do is we moderate panels at Comic-Cons.
Right.
And we did one at Rhode Island Comic-Con this past November. Well, I guess I did this specific one. We did a bunch of them, but this one specifically was me moderating for Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee.
Yeah, and Brad was in the wings.
Brad was in the wings. He was watching the cameras.
He had a clipboard. He was kind of hugging it to himself. He had a headset on, and he was like, now ask a follow-up question about Mallrats. And yes, he nailed it.
Yeah, he did. He nailed all of it.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Don't mention the weight loss. Don't mention the weight loss. Right?
No, he likes to mention the weight loss.
Oh, okay.
He's
of
very
course.
proud.
Anybody who loses weight. Hey, listen, as a fat guy, you don't like hearing people
I can't
lose
wait.
weight.
Are you going to do
that's terrible.
Are you going to do the big jacked thing eventually? You're going to become like a big jacked
Totally.
guy?
I'm going to go Ethan Suplee. Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to become the most jacked guy in the whole wide world. I'll probably go the route that I think like Hollywood does.
Yes.
Where it's like you get jacked.
Yeah.
Divorce your wife.
Yep.
Become very religious.
Yep.
Huh.
To a point where people are like, okay, that's enough.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
you go, no, more.
Right.
And then you get to be Mario.
Yep.
Oh, get
Pretty
out of
easy.
here.
What?
So Brad and I moderated a bunch of panels over the weekend. I did 2. Brad did 2.
Yes.
And today we are releasing our panel with Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee. Awesome time.
Super jealous. I was working shows that weekend,
Yep, I
and
know.
I couldn't be there. And I was texting with you guys when it was happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Oh man, it was so nice. They were so nice. We'll talk about it a little bit more afterwards. But I think for now, let's just get right to the panel.
Yeah, and be sure to stick around after
Yes.
the panel. The panel's what, like a half hour?
Yes.
Yeah. Stick around afterwards. We're gonna have a chat.
And we're
after
going to
that.
talk about some stuff. We get some stories. I actually was part of a physical altercation last night here at the Comedy Connection.
Okay.
We're in the basement of the Comedy Connection in East Providence, Rhode Island. And I want to see if you guys think I did the right thing.
Oh, boy.
When
Oh,
I saw
boy.
this man physically restrain this woman
All right,
who
we'll
was
get
crying
We'll get
and
into
screaming.
it. We'll get into
That's
it later.
after the panel.
That's
So-
too much.
That's a
too
tease.
much.
So everybody check out the panel and stick around afterwards for some fun.
For a crying woman.
It was crazy. Are you guys having a good time at Rhode Island Comic Con? Woo! All right, everybody. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and we are going to be taking audience questions. So if you guys want to start lining up, if there's 2 microphones, there's one right there, and there's another one right there. Feel free to start lining up whenever you want. My name is Chuck. I'm from the podcast Funbearable. I'll be your moderator tonight, and we are doing a My Name Is Earl panel. So I think without further ado, let's bring out the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Lee. What's up, buddy? That's it. Right there. Yeah. And Ethan Suplee.
Do we sit down yet? Okay.
Let's have a seat. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Are you having a
Great.
fun time at Rhode Island Comic Con?
It's wonderful.
You enjoying
My
it?
first Comic-Con ever.
No, is that true?
Yeah. And I specifically chose Rhode Island.
It's the only place I'll travel. Is this your first Comic-Con?
No,
way.
I've been to, this is my third.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, I'm surprised you guys are like haven't been on it for years and years and years. You seem like the favorites of this kind of thing.
Well, thank you very much.
It's true. All right, so we have a few questions. If people want to start lining up at the microphones, feel free, and we're going to take questions from the audience whenever you want. But I have a few questions to start us off.
Yes.
So you guys both had pretty extensive film careers before My Name Is Earl. How did being main characters on a hit TV show change your relationship with your audience?
That's a really good question. This was 2005, right? I don't think it was super common that movie actors were doing much television at that time.
Right.
My main concern was the incredible workload, of being on a single camera, sort of high energy, high action series, shooting as many, now it's like 8 to 10 episodes a season pretty much. Back then, I think one year we did 27 episodes, and the workload was brutal. So I was a little apprehensive because of the schedule and the workload, and then also like TV didn't really seem like kind of the thing to do really, unless it was like HBO or something. And then I eventually just got over that because I just kept going back to how good the material was, how great Greg Garcia's script was. And then the pilot script was unbelievable, and Greg and I talked a lot about raising Arizona as a source of inspiration for the show, and it just felt right ultimately. And then whatever worries, those just kind of went out the window. And then Ethan getting on board just kind of sealed the deal, because his Randy is still one of my favorite TV characters of all time. Ethan, sorry if that was too long. Feel free to.
No, that was great.
All right.
The only thing I would say about going from movies to TV is I think that there is something interesting about being familiar to people in a gigantic format that is kind of detached, that you have to leave your house to go to experience, and then being familiar to people because you're in their house every week. And I think that it's a different kind of familiarity.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's
Good
a
point.
killer answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Were you
Better
guys
than mine.
I love hearing
more
this.
succinct? Were you guys able to bring like aspects of your personalities or parts of your personal life to the show?
In what way? In what way?
Were you a thief? Is what I want to know. No, just anything at all. Were you able to kind of tap into, this is a piece of me and I'm bringing this to this character?
That's a really good question. No, I mean, I was certainly invested in the fact that Earl was trying to do good, and I did like the message. And to this day, I mean, I get people saying that show changed my life, or I've actually had numerous people over the years say I've made my own list. Even somebody who had been in prison and was inspired by the show. Addicts even, you know, it was really, really, really touching ultimately. But yeah, I mean, I was really ultimately drawn to the kindness of Earl and certainly of Randy. And I really liked that there was an innocence and a positivity to the humor, and so I don't know what I brought of myself necessarily, but I certainly identified with the angles and the purpose of the show.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, here we are. Hello. I had at the time, and I during the course of filming My Name Is Earl, I fixed it, but I had a deviated septum, so I made sure to bring that to the character of Randy. So his mouth was always open. And I also had a fascination with aliens and wondered if they were real. And so I made sure Randy was always looking up. Those were the two aspects of myself that I brought.
Oh, people are applauding, so they're aware. I'm assuming, does anybody here remember that Randy was always looking up? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Looking
That's
for the
very
aliens.
common knowledge. That's fantastic. So the motivation there was that Randy was looking for aliens. I think that's absolutely hilarious. And it is true that Randy's middle name was Dew, right? Randy
Randy Doohickey.
That's so fantastic. I love that.
That's great. I saw a couple people standing up. I know you guys sat down. Do you want to get back up? There you go.
Hi, I actually worked on My Name Is Earl. I was a Crab Shack regular.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, we had a lot of Crab Shack regulars.
I remember this. I also did the stripper one once. The one that you had to do, where you had to make up to mistletoe and you had to do the strip. And that was amazing in person. You just like gave it all, and that was amazing.
Thank you.
But I love Greg Garcia's work, and I hear he's working on a new show. Are you guys going to be part of that?
I hope so. I want to work with Greg. We talk every once in a while, and I'm always asking him if there's something that I can do that he's doing for sure. Yeah, but he's working on a new series that he shot, I think in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I loved all of the guide, the book. What was it? The hotel book, the one. What was it? The guidebook,
the guest book.
The guest book. Thank you.
And then he did Raising Hope.
Yeah,
right? Fantastic.
They're great, loving, wonderful shows. So,
yeah, he's a great voice for TV. I think Greg for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Killer. Thank you very much. How you doing?
Hi, my name's Ronan. I guess what you can see here is like there's a lot of fans today, so I guess the easy question would be is if you guys would be interested, like if it ever got renewed, would you guys pick that up, or is that a thing of your guys'
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah, we would do it. By the way, I think everybody in the cast and Greg Garcia, everybody would do it. I think it's the question of doing it is the studio.
That's valid.
Yeah, I mean, listen, honestly, Greg did shop it around, and for whatever reason, everybody passed. Hulu passed, Netflix passed, everybody passed. So, I mean, look, even if, like, I would do like a two-parter on just for the internet, you know, like just to kind of show, you know, maybe like all these years later, you check back in with him and Earl's got like one last thing on his list to do or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's got to be a way to do it, even if it's just on YouTube or so. I don't know, like, but everybody, like, pretty much everybody turned us down for some reason or another.
So what I'm hearing is like maybe we need to start a petition to get this back up and going.
Let's do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
It's pretty much gray now, but I can still grow a mean stash, baby. Yeah.
How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Kevin. I don't actually have a question. I'm going to say a controversial statement. I've never actually seen My Name Is Earl, but I've followed your film careers with great interest, both of your film careers.
Thank you. Now go home and watch Earl starting tonight.
It's on my list. It's in my queue. No, Jason Lee, I've always loved you in films. One of my favorites was Vanilla Sky. Weird role, but like super cool, man, the way you embodied that. Also, my wife is a huge fan of your wife's clothing line, I believe, Oddbird, is that correct?
Yeah, she's right here. Jaren's right here.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
All right, my wife just bought 3 of your dresses, and she absolutely loves them. She's pregnant, and they fit all body types, and yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah. That made her night. Thank you so much.
Oh, hey, please, I'll tell her that I met you. And Ethan, I just want to say your physical transformation and your videos on YouTube have been a real inspiration, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
For both of you guys, keep up the great work.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question over here.
Hi, yes. I just found out that you are Syndrome from Incredibles.
Indeed.
I love you so much.
Thank you.
Could you please give me something for Babysitter Carly real quick?
Wait, can I give you what?
Could you give me like something that you would say to the
Babysitter Carly? Oh, you caught me monologuing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Syndrome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. How you doing, sir?
So first off, Ethan, you look great.
Thank you.
I don't want to say anything about Clerks 3. Were you approached at all?
Me?
Jason.
Oh.
I think Kevin asked if I wanted to show up on set one day to do a quick little cameo, but I was not in town, unfortunately. But I think we're saving it for a Mallrats sequel anyway, so. Yeah. Thank you.
That's killer. I'm waiting for that. Oogie Boogie.
Hi. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I loved the show when I was growing up, but then it got ended. I want to know how you guys would have liked your characters to have ended the show at.
Yeah, this is in my list of questions as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Randy finally gets to go hang out with aliens, I think.
Greg Garcia, the creator of the show, he actually already had a way to end the show at any time. Should the show end prematurely or whatever, or should he have gotten a heads up, hey, you're only going to do 5 more episodes or something. He already had a predetermined way to end the show, and it was really brilliant. I don't want to say it in case we end up doing something, but he had a really cool way for Earl to finish his list, basically. So I think for me it would be that sense of closure for Earl, and that constant striving to sort of feel that sense of completion, that would have been important for me, for sure. Yeah. To see Earl feel like he actually finally did it,
Killer. Thank you very much. How you doing over here?
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Pam.
Nice to meet you, Pam.
Since you guys are basically con newbies, did any of your friends give you advice on how to handle the fans? Or have you gotten here and go, oh my God, it's true. They are like that.
Yeah, you know what? It is true that everybody's just really, really friendly. Yeah. That's what we had heard, that everybody's very, very friendly. That would be all of you people. So thank you for that. Lots of cool people. Lots of very cool people.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
I got to sign some skateboards today. It was really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
Hello. My name is Nate. Just met a couple minutes ago. Did the little thing. So I didn't have a question walking up here, but I just felt as a fan I had to, at least come up here and talk, do the picture, do the autograph, hit the trifecta, and ask a question. As I was sitting here listening, again, not a question yet, but I've been working from home for the last 2 years. Just came back a couple months ago to the office, so I rewatched the show twice. Just again, work from home, one of the best ones. One of my accounts that I had to reach out to was Alyssa Milano. I actually got to speak with her, and we have to verify her. I work for a financial institution. I won't incriminate myself, but one of her accounts, she wrote something wrong on the form. So for a security question, ask her name, last 4 of her social, I go, and can I just have you confirm your last name and my name is Earl? She goes, what did you just say? Had no idea. I go, this is a real call, but I made a joke. I'm trying to be funny. She goes, yeah, no, I don't believe this at all, and hung up. So then I had to call back. Now I'm freestyling, but yeah, then I had to call back, and I got her, like a publicist or something. And of course, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry, this is a real thing. She didn't fill out this type of form right. Made myself look like an idiot the first time around, but she's like, yeah, they don't like those calls. But while I'm up here, so that was something. You just mentioned your skateboard deck. I also, again, huge fan. I didn't think you'd ever do a con. So when you signed all the skateboards, you came out also, huge skateboard fan. I had one just as a kid. I bought the one I meant to show you the picture of the purple acoustic guitar. Meant to bring it, forgot it in the car for the photo op. But so when's Ethan going to get his own signature deck? That's my question.
I'm not a good skateboarder. I don't have good balance.
That's all right. So Jason was doing some Instagram TikToks doing that jiggle jiggle song the other day. I think you can.
I might be actually making a My Name Is Earl skateboards.
Yeah. Do you know I collect the original art from some of his old original skateboards? I own the art and it's hanging in my house. Yeah.
Man.
Dude, dope.
Ethan and I go back to Mallrats, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Hey, guys. So first, Jason, it was the coffee cup I was talking about, the restaurant I was telling you about. It's the coffee.
Thank you.
Check it out tomorrow. Delicious. Now.
Oh, by the way, bring your board tomorrow. I'll sign it tomorrow. Nate. Yep. Okay.
So one of my favorite films for you, Jay, is actually Stealing Harvard. Like, I watched that movie on repeat. Used to work at a video store, and I always put that on, and people would be cracking up.
Pretty underrated, that one.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why. But I want to know what your favorite moment or fun moment in making that film, and for you, Ethan, Remember the Titans. Like, being around that cast, and especially how big most of you guys have gotten, it just blows my mind what kind of cast you guys had. So I wanted to know, like, what were the moments that just stick in your mind that burned in there that were just so awesome and you would relive again if you could?
Ethan?
I got to hug Denzel Washington. That was cool. Yeah. That was, I mean, that's had a terrible
I got to hug Tom Green.
Yeah. By the way, when I was doing Remember the Titans in Atlanta, Todd Phillips called me and asked me to do a part in Road Trip in Athens. So I would film in Atlanta all night and get in a car and be driven, and I would sleep in the car, but it's not that far, to Athens, and wake up and go to work on Road Trip. And he said, I need somebody in this scene to kind of do a bunch of improv with Tom Green. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And on day one and take one, we go to start shooting, and I start ad-libbing, and Tom Green says, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, this is what I'm here for. I just got off work in Atlanta doing a real movie, and now I'm up here. Now I'm up here doing this tiny little role so that you and me can have banter. And he was like, I don't know what your banter is. And he didn't want to do it. And he went and talked to Todd Phillips, and Todd Phillips came back and was like, okay, just be quiet. Just stand there. That's my Remember the Titans story.
That's hilarious.
That's fantastic.
That's killer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
So we only have a couple minutes left, so we're going to try to get through these last 3 questions pretty quick. Let's go over here.
Hi there, my name's Michaela. I used to also watch you when I was a kid. But my question was, what do you think was Earl's best thing to cross off his list?
I need to rewatch the show. Oh, wow. That's a good one. I really genuinely need to think about that.
That's a thinker. A lot of options.
I will answer just sort of in general, though, for how kind of silly the show would get. It was always nice to pull it back and ground it with like a real genuine moment of Earl kind of, Earl would nod and there would be the voiceover and he'd always go like, like those nice kind of closure moments were always really fun to shoot and kind of memorable because at the end of the day, we tried to ground it in something ultimately real for how sort of goofy the show could get,
Awesome. Thank you very much. Over here, Spider-Man.
So speaking of a Mallrats sequel, what interests you in revisiting those characters in that universe, and where do you think they might be today?
I can't answer the second part of that. Sorry, where they might be. But what fascinates me is that, it's likely that Brody's pretty much going to be the same person, just older. That's what I think is so amazing about Brody. Like, this stubbornness, and he just locked into his own sort of, righteousness, I think it's all going to be the same, which is going to be a lot of fun, just years later.
Ethan?
I would like it if, I played a character that had been played by a different guy in Clerks.
Yes.
But they were the same character in different universes somehow.
Yes.
And I think it would be cool if we were both in Mallrats together.
That's killer.
I like that.
That's awesome.
That'd be fun. That's
cool. That's great. All right, last question.
My name's Ron. Love you guys. My wife and I have watched every episode, and our favorite one is the Mother's Day where Joy goes on the bender. I think it was the whole weekend she's just drinking. And she comes in and she says, hey, dummies, when you guys are talking. And then she falls over and like the whole pitcher falls down. I'm just wondering if you guys have any funny stories about that scene or other scenes where you couldn't even keep a straight face because it was so funny.
Oh my God, there were so many times.
Pretty much every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you go on YouTube, all the bloopers are there. And there's I think on YouTube there's bloopers. The editors of the show did a really good job editing the bloopers for the DVDs. You know, remember the days when you'd buy a DVD box set and there would be bloopers as a special feature? The bloopers on Earl are fantastic. You really get a sense of just the camaraderie, the energy, the mistakes, the laughter, the dancing, the pranks. I mean, it was, I will say that...
The farting. The farting.
Oh my gosh,
Ethan.
Farting. Was it me or you?
It was both of us.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot of flatulence on that set. Yeah. I will say though, there was a big lesson there for me for how sort of apprehensive I was to sign on to do a big TV show. It ended up being, one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. I will certainly say, such a unique show, and so devastated that it got canceled. And it's been 17 years since it premiered.
Wow.
So crazy to think how long ago it was, but honestly one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life, and getting to work with Ethan and Eddie and Nadine and Jamie Presley and one of my highlights was working with Burt Reynolds. We got to work with Burt Reynolds. That was amazing. And Norm Macdonald, unbelievable guest actors.
Yeah.
And the music, the soundtrack, it was such a special show. And so, I'm truly honored to have been a part of it, for sure.
Yeah.
Ethan?
I don't remember what the question was.
Any specific moments during the making of the show that you remember really fondly?
Well, I probably didn't remember it when you said it, but listening to Jason talk, I remembered Burt Reynolds in the scene that we had together. He had to slap me in the face, and he didn't pull his slaps, and he didn't pull his slaps in rehearsal or setting up cameras or just talking through the scene. He didn't pull his slaps. He slapped me so many times that my
really
jaw
hard.
swelled up. And at a certain point, Greg Garcia came up to me and he said, listen, I understand this is rough. I'm going to give you $50 every time he slaps you from here on out, because we'd gotten 20 or 30 slaps in already. And he handed me $3,400 at the end of the day.
That's true. Those bloopers are on YouTube. When you go to the Burt Reynolds slap, and man. Ethan, what he says, I won't spoil it, but what he says to Burt Reynolds was so genius, and it made Burt Reynolds just crack up laughing. That was such a great moment for us on set to see Ethan make Burt Reynolds die laughing. So try to find that on YouTube.
That was a fun moment.
That's amazing. Thank you for your question. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys
for watching the show. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give it up, Jason Lee, Ethan Suplee. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
And that was my panel with Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee.
So fun.
And it was really cool. I've worked with a lot of people from the Kevin Smith movie camp over the years.
Yeah.
Like Brian O'Halloran. We moderated the Clerks cast panel at Rhode Island Comic Con last year. And I know a lot of those people, but Jason Lee is one of the people I hadn't met before this.
Right.
And this was actually his first con that he ever did.
Yep. Oh, wow.
He hasn't done a con before.
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
And it was cool because what Brad and I like to do when we do these panels is we like to go meet up with the people that we're going to moderate for ahead of time and kind of have a little fun talk with them so it's a little bit more comfortable. Jason Lee was super busy, couldn't find him, and they walked into the green room area right beforehand, 1 minute before we were supposed to go on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, my name's Chuck. I'm going to be moderating. I'm like, we have a mutual friend in Kevin Smith. And Jason Lee was wicked nice. Ethan was wicked nice. We go up. We had a really good time. I think we had a good rapport. And afterwards, Jason Lee was he's like, Chuck, he's like, you're so good at this. He's like, you killed it. Thank you so much. And then, well, that's what he said. And then his wife, who was super nice, she came up to me and she's like, can I get your phone number? She's like, Jason and Ethan haven't really done anything like this before, so I don't know. What maybe we could use the footage. I was like, whatever you guys want to use, sure,
yeah.
And so she did that, and then the next day I went to Eastside Pockets with Brad. Right. We got them some hummus, and we brought them some hummus, and they were really, really thankful.
That's good.
And they were super nice.
Yeah.
It's funny because we haven't really had a negative interaction at all with our panels, minus one individual.
Yeah,
that
we're not supposed to talk about
We're
it.
not supposed to talk about it. We got in trouble for talking about it.
Let's just say there's a loaf-based.
Yeah, well, he's
situation.
meat-based. He's
meat-based. Well, now we've said both things. Oh no!
You know what?
No.
The Funbears still have to put the pieces together.
Yeah. The two pieces.
puzzle.
They have to say they have to put the meat-based part and the loaf-based part together.
Now you said it in order. Now you said it in order.
Yeah.
It's legally okay if we say loaf meat, but you can't say the other. You can't flip it. You can't flip it. No, I wanted to say though, like Jason Lee, I'm a fan. I like the guy a lot. I've liked a lot of the stuff that he's done. Ethan Suplee though.
Killer.
So fun.
Yeah.
Like just a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah.
And I had on my old podcast, Ray Harrington Must Content, I had the writer-director of Dog, the Channing Tatum film.
Yes.
And who was also the writer of all of the Magic Mike movies.
Right, that's
Reed
right.
Carolyn, right?
Yes, right.
And I had him on Ray Harrington Must Content to talk about like doing Dog and all that stuff. And Ethan Suplee is in that movie.
Right.
And he's great in the movie. And it was fun because Reed Carolyn's like, oh, you have to have Ethan on. He's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's fun that this kind of worked out in like an ethereal way that did come to fruition. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting too? I was like, man, Ethan Suplee was awesome on Boy Meets World.
Sure.
He was like one of the bullies.
Yeah.
And we also did the panel with Jason Marsden, who was also on Boy Meets World.
Look at that.
weekend when he was like Eric's
That's
best
right.
friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the bully's like sidekick.
Yes.
Went on to be in Rilo Kiley, the band Rilo Kiley.
Oh,
with Jenny
really?
Lewis. Yeah.
Wow, that's
it's crazy.
interesting.
Anytime I see it's the guy that was like, oh yeah, you know, whatever, you know, yeah. That guy from Boy Meets World. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The father. No.
The boy.
Why you keep talking to that teacher across the yard, right?
That was Mr. Feeney.
Yeah. Whatever, the teacher. He's the father's very out of touch with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why Feeney is a father figure.
Right.
But no, he was he ended up becoming part of Rilo Kiley, and I loved that band.
Yeah.
You know.
Better
in
Son
the
or
past.
Daughter is like my favorite song from them.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of
good.
great stuff. Yeah.
So I did want to bring this up before we kind of transition. We're going to talk about more stuff that has to do with this panel, but so we're in the basement of the Comedy Connection. This is kind of our Rhode Island home, this club.
Yeah.
And I was here last night filming Doug Key's special, our buddy Doug Key.
Friend of the pod?
Yeah,
Yep.
with my friends Jason and Ryan. Wicked nice guys.
Yeah, friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the podcast, for sure. We'll have him on when the special comes out.
Yeah.
So we're here. We're all hanging out. There's a big bunch of us. There's, you know, it's a very familial club. We know everybody. We're leaving here to go to the Wild Colonial in Providence, to this bar afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And
which sounds like a sitcom bar name.
Yeah.
It's
the Wild Colonial.
I love Wild Colonial. I think we could go there right now and I'd be happy to hang out.
But it sounds like a place that
it's a good name.
The two guys and the girl would leave the pizza
Oh,
place
okay.
to go.
Have you been to the Wild Colonial?
I've not been to the Wild.
I'll say this.
I've been to the Mild Colonial.
Because Brad, you've been there.
Yes. It's a quiet place.
Wild Colonial inside, it feels like a cave.
I ordered buffalo wings, just plain.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit, a little
awesome.
cave-ish, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. But anyway, we were leaving, and so you tell me what you would do in this situation.
What would you do?
During the show, there were two people sitting in the front row. During
Kick 'em
late,
out.
This is the late show.
Kick them out.
And I guess they were a little bit disruptive. I couldn't really tell. It wasn't a huge deal.
Okay.
But the guy was wearing something very, very distinct. So when I'm leaving,
Like a tuxedo?
he was wearing
Ascot?
a vest that was like black, but it was super swishy and super reflective.
Okay.
It was very, very distinct. So we're leaving the club, and
Isn't that like construction formal?
Yes.
It was weird. I've never seen anything like that. You know Missy Elliott's video, I Can't Stand the Rain?
Yeah.
That looked like that
Oh, it was like
material.
that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
wow.
like a
Shit.
big trash
Okay.
bag.
Okay.
Very strange.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Say it to his face.
Go outside, walk to my car. The woman who was in the part of the couple is up against the Comedy Connection door, just leaning on it. This is at like midnight, maybe even after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she looks like someone who's like, oh, I left my glasses or whatever. But she's not. There's no one in the club. Everyone's gone. And she's sitting there. And the guy's like, come on, get back in the car. Come on, come on. And I'm watching this. I'm like, this is weird. She's like, no, leave me alone. And I'm like, okay, weird, whatever. Maybe they had a fight. Who cares? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then I'm driving and I go into the other parking lot to get my friends who don't know the area and they're going to follow me. And I
These
was
were
like,
children?
Yeah, Jason and Ryan. And I was leaving. I drive up and she's walking away and she's crying. She's like, leave me alone. Stay away from me. And he comes up from behind her and he grabs her and he's like, come on, get back in the car. And he picks her up and she's like, no, get off of me. And she's punching his arms. What do you do in this situation?
Man.
This is midnight.
Yeah.
No one's here. It's just me, Ryan, and Jason. And we're seeing a couple that we have no connection to, don't know them. And he's physically restraining her a little bit. He's not hitting her,
right?
But he's physically restraining a person.
This is what complicates it, is that like this isn't a situation where you just walk up to it and see it fresh.
Right.
You do know some backstory.
Little
you
bit.
know that they were together at this thing.
Yes.
Right.
I think, that's a tough read because it's either like, I think it would depend on the situation and how the hug, kind of the bear hug happens, like what the vibe is there.
Oh, it's tough.
It's a real, like, when I'm in the situation, I think at most I'd probably be like, hey, everything okay? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and wait to hear what she
I feel
says.
like that guy would have shot me if I said that. That's the vibe I got from him.
Oh, okay. Well, did he have a gun? Because in that case, that's another story.
Well, okay, so you would have said maybe like, hey, is everything okay?
I would say, hey,
okay, Brad,
everything okay?
Yeah.
And then based on what her response is. But that's the trouble too, is like
now you're involved.
If this is a fucking like drama session for
Oh.
them, that they do this all the time,
I
and they're
know.
trash
Right.
bags that go out and have public fights.
Literally wearing a trash bag.
Right, yeah.
Right.
That's a hard thing of like, I don't want to be a part of your weird play. I don't want to be a part of this. Go home.
All right, so Brad,
Yeah.
what would you do?
I called it in. Like I've seen fights as in Newport, probably Halloween. So another night that, people are out, they're
Yeah,
drinking.
right.
Probably Halloween 2007, 2008. And it was a couple having a fight. And she was dressed as like a jockey or like a formal rider. So she had that little helmet.
Oh,
yeah.
And she could protect herself.
No, the problem was that he took the helmet and he threw it, probably not at her, but toward her. Like she's sitting on the curb,
that's
she's crying.
interesting.
He takes it, he throws it next to her, it goes flying, and I'm like, hey, like, I just saw this fight. This is where it was.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm not capable.
You called the cops for that?
Absolutely.
See, that
You
seems
called
like
the cops for that?
Yes,
See,
I
that
did.
seems like even less than what I
Right.
Yeah.
was dealing
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I would call the cops for this one too.
See, to me, throwing an item is not a big deal. I mean, if he threw it at her, for sure.
Right.
But if you threw an item that was not really at her, then that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
So what I did was I followed,
That seems more dangerous to me.
Superman Chuck. So here's what I did, right? No, I just did what Brad said, basically. I just followed them a tiny bit in my car, and I kind of circled.
Yeah.
And she went into that dive bar.
Yeah.
And so he followed her in, and I was like, I'm just going to call the police to be safe and say, hey, they went into this bar. Here's what he was wearing. Here's what she was wearing. Like, you might want to check this out. I didn't know if I should call it in, but I'm just trying to be
Right.
safe. And they're like, all right, Kate, thank you. Well, we'll check it out.
You called the cops too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
well,
a
I'm
bunch of
nervous
narcs.
about this woman.
After it was done?
No, she was still screaming and crying to get away from
Okay,
him, and he was
yeah.
just following her down the street.
Yeah.
Onto Brad's little clit story. This is so funny.
All right, so what about a little clitoris?
All right, here's the thing. Chuck and I were
Little clit.
out for dinner one night.
You know how Brad is always like, let's go to this place for dinner, and you go, and then it's like a sex thing, and yet he's like, I didn't know. That happened to us like 25 times.
But we'll look foolish if we don't do it. Yeah.
Go ahead. So Brad invited me out to a wing night.
Not true.
Yes, it is.
Chuck invited me out to a wing night. He's like, let's go to this.
Hang on, this is an argument. I'm going to call the police real
Please
quick.
do.
You're making fun of this.
Let's go to this location that we've never been to before. We went there,
Yeah.
and we order
That was
our
the
wings.
first time you went there?
Yeah, we're sitting in
Okay.
sitting in the corner, and meanwhile, the other half of this restaurant bar is having a sex toy bingo night.
Okay.
It's an event. Middle-aged women.
This is one of my favorite quotes I ever heard in the wild.
And they're going through and winning their games, and of course we're making we're in the corner. Chuck's on the phone. We're making jokes about sex toy bingo, whatever.
Yeah.
The idea of me winning all these sex toys was like that was the joke that
I can picture you.
beat the dead horse that night.
That is very entertaining.
The dead horse was one of the sex
Was
toys.
that the dildo collection night?
No.
I can picture you
No!
with sheets and sheets and sheets of bingo cards.
Stamp,
and you've got the stampers, and you've got a troll doll, and you go in the hair for your luck, and then you sit there and go, and it's like B4, and you're like,
I would love that.
and Chuck's trying to have a casual conversation. Like, I can't hear the fucking numbers.
Chuck's like, do you want to split the honey mustard wings? And I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, keep going.
You say N30 or N31. And so they're trying to be cute with their bingo game. And so rather than like, oh, it's 5 in a row or whatever, or 4 corners or blackout or whatever, they're like, oh, this one you have to get the shape of a vagina. So you have to get all the eyes.
Which I think is very strange
all
too.
the G's and the top N. So it's, a top
Listen,
and bottom
on
N.
a bingo card, if you paid me, I don't think I could be like, let me take this grid of squares. That's only a few.
5 by 5.
Yeah, 5 by 5, and make a vagina. I would just be like, I don't
even know if I can make it.
Then shoot me.
I don't even know if I can make a dick or a ball.
I could do a dick. I could do a dick
1,
on
2, 3,
on that,
4,
maybe.
5. 1, 2.
Maybe.
It's weird though.
Let me put it this way:
Very
it
square.
won't be an impressive.
Yes.
dick. It'll be nubby. It'll be a very nubby guy. Because you got to do the balls. If you don't do the balls, then it's just a
snake.
It's just shape.
Yeah.
So then they're like, all right, you have to get this. You also have to get the second end down. And one older woman said, "What's that?" And the woman running it said, "Well, that's the clit." And this older drunk woman said, "My clit, maybe my clit when I was 20."
She's got the droop clit, right?
And I was like, they changed?
What?
I was.
That's not how that works.
Befuddled. I
That's
had
not
no
how that
idea what
works.
was going on.
I mean, listen, we're 3 men.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
That's
we're
true.
3
We
fucking
don't know.
straight white men.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say with authority in any definitive way that clitorises are not beholden to gravity and age.
Right.
I don't think they are, though.
No, I know.
Let me put it, the ones that I'm familiar with,
oh God,
are not susceptible to like a droopy situation. You know what I mean?
Clena's gonna have this car.
Why did you think I was talking about her? Please don't keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth.
Slap it!
That's the only time that has ever been like such an accurate way to quote that, right? I'm gonna fucking slap you. I'm gonna fucking slap you. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get a slap. Talking about my wife's clitoris? By the way, is it weird that I feel like saying clitoris is somehow cleaner than saying clit?
It's cleaner,
I'm with
for
you.
sure.
It is, right?
Clit
is so
medical
hard.
term.
Clit is hard. Oh yeah.
Right?
I don't know who won that game.
I think you did.
Sex
I
toy
think you
bingo.
I was
I was
that.
so confused.
Isn't that one of the funniest things you've ever heard? Like,
yeah,
it's
I
just,
want
like,
to be
so
like
befuddling.
Show me. I don't know what you mean.
I need a photo of you when you were 20.
She starts lifting up her butt.
It's the whole N row.
God, I wake up in the morning, I sit down on the toilet, my clit hits the water, and I'm like, hello,
I don't even need coffee.
This is like the dirtiest thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
But it is from a real...
For an episode that's like, we'll do a little bit afterwards. We talked beforehand, and it was like, yeah, we're doing the Jason Lee thing. All right, let's talk about it. This will be fun. And we're like, yeah, we'll talk about mall stuff because of Mallrats. And now we're here like, imagine how long that clit is.
Well, it is...
What a droopy old hanging down clit.
Well,
It looks like a grandfather clock.
It's not like we decided to talk about it. We overheard this. It gave us new information that we are now discussing.
Sure,
and thinking
yeah.
about it like scientists.
Like scientists.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
Her grandfather clock vagina.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she walks and you hear like,
what the hell's that?
yeah. That's one of the toys I won at bingo.
Yes.
Anyway,
Dong.
so that's one of my favorite Chuck and Brad.
Sleep. It's all this.
That's a
TikTok.
highlight Chuck and Brad experience.
It was,
And we've had a lot of
God
interviews.
damn.
Wings were pretty good.
Can I ask you sincerely
Not the
here?
best.
Let's play Chuck's game. What would you do you overhear this, like
we did overhear.
Do you? I know, but do you?
We ate our chicken wings.
I called the police. This woman has some
You need to
medical
get over
issues.
here now.
Yeah.
You need to get over here now. I think she's threatening people. I don't know. She does have a concealed weapon.
It's yes.
I don't think she has a permit.
I would
for it.
have to ask because similar to your experiences, I haven't seen a lot of age and droopage on the. You know what I mean? Like it's weird because like I think between the ages. How can I say that?
This is uncomfortable. Maybe just back out. Waffle on out.
Waffle on out. This way. Almost a 30-year difference between.
No, because now I'm like, no.
Oldest to youngest? Same.
Don't say oldest to youngest when we're talking about
length,
sex.
Same length.
Okay.
By millimeters.
Sure, yeah.
I use the
Yeah,
metric
yeah,
system.
the caliper.
No, you
Yeah.
got to use the metric
Yeah.
system.
It's the same length.
No, you have to.
And it's just like a baby's big toe.
Good.
Okay.
Anyway.
Did it have a nail? So
Have you ever been to a mall, Ray? Malls are great.
I saw the biggest clit at the mall.
Oh no!
It got stuck in an escalator.
Oh, I did see a huge one.
What?
Oh my God! So this.
Oh no,
girl-
we're not talking about size like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm asking genuinely.
She was 20.
Do you think?
So maybe.
Shut up. Do you think? And I said that for all of us. Do you think that's in any way a real thing? Because we don't know. We are dumb boys, and we don't. I'll say as a 39-year-old man, I've noticed some extension of the testicle.
There's very specific things. Your ears never stop growing. Your nose never stops growing. I think, right?
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true either because that doesn't make any sense. But
were you at a novelty store?
I was with Geppetto.
Yes.
And but yeah, there's some parts that don't stop growing.
Yeah.
I think your earlobes are a real one.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think your testicles just droop and stretch.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it's because your testicle skin is so elastic.
All right. I was just asking if you think this is a real thing for women.
Well, your testicles. Think about this.
No, I'm asking you a direct question. Do you think?
It doesn't really make sense to me.
I don't think this is generally true, but like this woman, I don't want to deny her
can
lived
we get
experience.
That woman on the podcast?
Let me put a call out.
Yeah.
If there's anyone I would have liked to interview on the podcast, it's this woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We need 2 extra mics for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
One. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes,
but
we
no,
do.
that is that. I'm trying to figure that out, and that is so strange to me. That is so strange.
It was a bizarre situation.
The title of this episode could be Jason Lee, Ethan Suplee, and maybe my clit when I was 20. Right?
How about just Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee?
Let's do right by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, did we
What a
say
weird
that?
place we've gotten to.
Yeah, we really have.
I don't know how to get out of it.
Nope.
Well, I'll say this. We were talking about the idea that Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee, for me, the first thing they have in common is the movie Mallrats, which is really close to my comedy heart and my movie heart from when I was a kid.
I think you either think of Mallrats or you think of My Name Is Earl.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they both have that, in common.
Yeah.
My Name Is Earl. I really enjoyed that show.
Good show.
I watched it. I actually watched it like after it had aired.
Yes.
Like I had missed it, and I went back to it, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is a wonderful show.
Yeah,
This is really fun.
I was TiVoing it.
Oh damn.
Yeah, so
See,
I was in early on that one.
I didn't watch it until the panel, and I watched a bunch of it. And I mean, I love Jamie Presley as well.
Sure.
I've always liked her since Not Another Teen Movie. Same thing with Chris Evans. But I really like the show a lot. But I think Ethan Suplee and Jason Lee have done other things together as well, like just over the years.
Yeah.
But my excitement.
They did that Purina commercial.
They were both guests on Raising Hope, which is also
Right,
a different
that's one
show
of them.
from the creator.
And that was great too.
Yeah.
I really liked Raising Hope.
So
and by the way, real quick, Raising Hope, the main character of that show,
Yep.
the guy Raising Hope,
Yep.
Played like a young idiot, right, on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
He's in the new season of Handmaid's Tale that just aired.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And it was bizarre because he's playing one of the Gilead like higher ups.
Oh. Yeah.
So he's like a bad guy
Yeah.
and menacing. And every time he's on screen, I'm like, no,
I know.
I just want to be like, where's Meemaw?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From Raising Hope. But yeah, it was so strange. But yes, continue. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say my original excitement for the panel of doing it in the first place was because of Mallrats.
Sure, yeah.
And I was
of
like, I'm so
course.
excited to do this, especially like I said with my history with the Kevin Smith people. It was cool to build on that, and we wanted to talk about some mall stories because of that. You know?
And before we get to the mall stories, I do want to say, like, Jason Lee, the reason I was so jealous that you guys got to do this is, you know, at that time in high school for me when Mallrats came out, like I was into Kevin Smith. I had seen Clerks, and Clerks was like, whoa, it blew my mind of like, it was the first time I realized someone made this. Right.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
why I really appreciate it. We've talked about this before about Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And then Mallrats came out, and Jason Lee was like, I don't know how it was for you guys in high school, but Jason Lee was like, in my friend group, was sort of like the epitome of cool.
Ooh.
He was just a cool fucking guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, his character in Mallrats went a long way in that, but then knowing that he had been a skateboarder,
Yes.
and like he was genuinely funny,
Yeah.
like he was this cool guy,
Right.
and it was like how you measured being cool.
It's
Isn't that weird?
interesting.
So
Yeah.
here's an interesting thing that I was like, should I bring this up in the show? But it's something that's kind of relevant. Kevin Smith wrote the character of Jason Lee's character in Mallrats, which is his name is Brody, based on Walt Flanagan, who I work with constantly. I've worked with him for years, and it's really interesting to see the idea of 21-year-old Walt being the influence for this character.
Oh, if he was like Brody, that's a different person.
It's a very different person,
yeah.
but I can feel his, like, knowing Walt, he's very kind to people, but then there's people that he knows really well, like Brian Johnson, Get 'em, Steve Dave, you know, Ming Chen, all these different people.
His mom and dad.
But he is kind of snippy sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can see the same type of energy in him that I see in Brody.
Wow. Now I'm thinking about it. And
right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, even you can watch behind the scenes stuff in the 90s with Walt back then.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like more sarcastic and like kind of like quippy and whatever. Yeah. And it's a really interesting thing to think about that, because I had the same feeling where like in Mallrats, TS is kind of like the leading guy, I guess, but he's a little bit more like just like led by his heart and like altruistic.
Yeah, he's the main character in like a romantic comedy type of situation. And then you have the funny
Brody,
best friend.
who's a little bit more cutting, and he has all these very strong opinions about things, and he kind of comes at people. And I felt the same way.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, it is funny though. Like Jason Lee, like his delivery, all of that stuff led to like, this guy's really cool.
Yeah.
Like he's the reason I saw Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just watching
horrible Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah. I was just watching the documentary about Spike Jonze, and like there's a bunch of stuff of Jason Lee in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The
Such a cool
skateboarding
guy. And then, you know, but also being very believable as Earl.
Yeah.
You know, that's another side of it. But I think you need to have that little coolness there. I feel like he was Ashton Kutcher before Ashton Kutcher in a way.
Sure. Ashton Kutcher.
Aspects of him.
Right.
Aspects of him.
Maybe the Earl character a little bit.
More Earl,
because I think of Ashton Kutcher as like Kelso, where he's so goofy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then Ashton Kutcher, like punked Ashton Kutcher, is a little bit closer to that, right?
Well, and Vengeance, the movie from B.J. Novak
that just came out.
Yeah, I could easily see Jason Lee in that role, which would be great. But anyway, malls, we got them. They're going away, folks.
We're talking about in terms of Mallrats. It's funny too, because I probably saw Mallrats in like 1998, 1997.
Yeah.
So I was 8th grade, whatever.
And it's very of its time.
Right.
It's crazy to look back at that and go, oh yeah, this is so of its time, not just in the dialogue or the beats of that kind of movie.
Right.
It's a 90s movie, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But also for the fact that the movie takes place at the mall.
Right.
Like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a lot of that was at the mall. There's tons of movies with Chopping Mall, that's fun.
Yeah.
But I feel like after Mallrats, like you get a point where it's like, oh, we're starting to see the decline of the mall.
Yeah.
And now to do a movie in a mall would be so sad.
Well,
so sad. It would be, imagine Mallrats today.
Yeah.
And it's just like these main characters walking around a roughly abandoned place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
if
four
you,
stores.
If you did like a 2022 mall movie,
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
have to be that. We were talking about it the other day, and I
you
was
could
like,
either go to the Dick's Sporting Goods, the Macy's, or that one weird shop that you're pretty sure isn't like legal.
So
you know what I mean?
I was saying the other day, it's basically would be
They
the
sell swords.
new Blockbuster show on Netflix.
Right.
Where
Oh,
it's like
right,
a
yeah.
dying thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're just the last gasp of it.
Yeah.
So did everyone here work in a mall?
I did not.
I did work in
You
a
did
mall.
work in a mall.
Technically, I worked in a mall.
Yeah, I worked in 2 malls. One of them was it the Silver City Galleria?
Yes.
In around Raynham, Massachusetts. I worked at GameStop, and then I worked in the Swansea Mall in Swansea, Massachusetts, at FYE. And I had some pretty specific experiences there. But it's interesting. We just passed Black Friday.
Yeah.
I loved working Black Friday in the mall. I loved it.
Really?
Loved it. I loved working retail in the mall on Black Friday. I'm the guy showing up at 4 a.m. with donuts for everyone and coffee, and I'm just like, we're gonna have a fucking awesome day.
Ugh.
Lines out the door.
Gross.
And I'm the
it.
guy talking to my friend that works with me going, fuck this guy.
So my buddy Wade texted me on Thursday. Wade is one of my favorite people. We worked together at GameStop, and we kind of had like a Ray there. His name was Bob.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm going to tell you what he said. So we're all working.
A Ray?
A guy like you.
What does that mean?
You're going to find out in the story.
Fucking tell the story.
So he was 20, so his clit was real little. No.
So high up. It was going up.
Yeah.
It was pointing up. Boy,
No.
always pointing to the North Star.
He was annoyed that we had to work super late the night before Thanksgiving to get ready for Black Friday.
Yeah.
And it was like wicked late. It was like, let's say it's like 1 a.m. or whatever.
So by array, do you mean like
Just
he had a
wait for the
child
story.
and a family?
So no. So it's really late, and I'm like, Black Friday, it's so much fun. And he's like, shut up. And he was like annoyed with me being like so excited
There
for
we
the
go.
thing.
That's
right?
the connection.
Okay.
Annoyed with Chuck.
Well,
All right.
you already said that you would be the other employee saying this fucking guy. And so that's who he is.
Sure, yeah.
So that's who he is.
Okay.
So I remember we're working, and I'm like, so what are you guys thinking about Thanksgiving? And he's like, all right, let's just get this done. I don't want to talk about it. Blah, blah. And I'm just like, what's your Thanksgiving dream plate? Bob, what's your Thanksgiving dream plate? He's like, shut up. Let's get this done. A minute goes by. He goes, I mean, you got to have mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that's fine.
He goes
Yeah.
into it, which is so great. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But we had so much
I'm
fun.
still bothered by you calling him array.
Well, he had the same attitude that you told me you'd have.
Oh no, I wouldn't be like, shut up, let's get this done. I wouldn't say that. I
right.
would nudge my friend that I'm working
Wade.
with. I would be like, fuck this guy. You know what I mean?
That's what
like
he did.
that. Okay. Anyway,
So
there's a
anyway,
difference.
we had a lot of fun on Black Friday, but
Cut all this out.
I loved hanging out in the mall, and there was a really cute girl that worked. I'm not going to say where she worked. She worked in the mall as well in a different place, and she would hang out. She knew a bunch of the people that worked around there, and I was like, oh man, I'm so attracted to this girl. She was like very cute, let's just say, and went well. But
Okay.
I'll tell you the story that I loved from working at GameStop, and I don't know if you remember this. We were across from a Dunkin' Donuts in the food court, and there was this weird guy who worked there. You ever go to a Dunkin' Donuts or any coffee place, and you're like, this person does not belong working at a coffee place. It's just someone who clearly does not care. Coffee is kind of about, I'm gonna get one this, and the person is just like this. It was that guy, and he was super gruff. And he met a girl online. And this is like, I'm talking like girl, like
Oh,
teenager.
I do remember this story.
Yeah, it was like teenager, like teenager, like over the age of 18, but still young.
Yeah.
And he met a girl online in Florida. She didn't have a good home life. She came up to live with him after meeting online.
Okay.
And she cheated on him with one of the guys from my GameStop.
Sure, yeah.
And then she got pregnant with the guy from GameStop. And so
imagine a life where you're like, I got knocked up by the GameStop guy.
But the reason that happened,
It's either him or the Duncan guy.
was because she didn't have a job. So when he went to work at Dunkin' Donuts in the mall, she would just come with him and hang out in the food court. And then she would like walk around the stores. She met the guy from GameStop and cheated on him.
Yeah.
And then he got her pregnant, and they were like starting a family, and she would just still be there in the same way. But he was across, the Dunkin' Donuts guy was still there across at Dunkin' Donuts all the time. And I was like, I'm going to be nice to you because I work with this guy.
Yeah.
You guys are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
You guys are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But that was me.
I wonder how they're doing.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun at that. I mean, I had everyone there I loved. My bassist Abe was actually the main manager of that GameStop. And when I got hired there, it was like me, Abe, our buddy Wade, Bob was awesome. Like we had so much fun.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And then FYE was a little bit weirder for me because it was I grew up with Swansea Mall in Swansea,
Sure.
Massachusetts. And man, that was my mall. I loved it. I loved hanging out there when I was like 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
And the one thing I really liked about working at FYE was just like knowing all the new music because you're just kind of forced to know it. But I didn't have a lot of exploits at FYE, I think because I was like older at that time. But I loved working at the mall. And I have a whole mall thing I want to close this with that I want to bring up to you. But what is your experience working at the mall? Because I remember something very specific from your life.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Some sort of bartering situation.
Oh yeah. Well, I worked at a mall. Growing up, I worked in the Fox Run Mall in Newington, New Hampshire.
Right. Okay.
And that was the thing. I grew up in Kittery, Maine, and then right over the bridge was Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Newington, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So I worked at the Fox Run Mall. I would go there as a kid, like you went to the Swansea Mall.
Yeah.
And so I moved out of my mom's place, and I moved in. I took a year between high school and college.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so I moved without a job. I was just like, I will get a job as soon as I get there, right? So I moved to Dover, New Hampshire with a couple of friends, and that's where we had our apartment. And I was like, I'll just find a job, right? I know I will find a job. And my friend Heath was working at Arby's in the food court of the mall.
Right.
And he said, I can get you a job today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take it while I'm looking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
So I went, I got hired, and, I was just a guy making sandwiches, and I hate working like fast food stuff. Like McDonald's was my first job. I hate that stuff.
Okay.
I never wanted to work with food.
Yeah.
It always made me feel like I was going to like drop something in their food and someone would die and something would happen.
Well, I just hated like all of like, why is everything slippery? You know what I mean? Like everything's kind of greasy, But so that was my first job. That was classic. I'm 15, getting a worker's permit
for sure,
and doing a job. I got fired from there. It's the only job I got fired from.
McDonald's?
Yeah, I was happy to be fired.
Yeah. Why'd you get fired from McDonald's?
Because I had gotten hired at a like retail store, and I had put my 2-week notice in, and the manager was like a petty little shit, I guess. And so he was upset that I had put my 2-week notice in, and there was another employee that I think was related to that he would treat with like kid gloves.
Yep.
And basically make everybody else do the work for him.
Good.
Yeah.
And so I was doing something, and I had said to the other person, like, you have to fucking do work, right?
Yeah,
you have to work.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's it. That's it. You swore out here at the counter. You got to go home today. So he's like, get out of here. And I'm like, okay. So I was putting my whatever back on the hook, and then one of the assistant managers was like, where are you going? Right? Like he didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, so-and-so is being a dick. And he heard me, and he's like, you can get out of here. You're fired. I'm like, I already put in my 2-week notice. He's like, you're fired.
Yeah. You put your notice in. I say it's a tie.
Get this. I'm like, okay, whatever. I leave.
Yep.
This was pre-cell phone.
Yeah.
So I walk across the Kittery outlets to the payphone, and I call my mom for a ride. I'm 15 years old. I don't have a license yet, right?
Right.
She answers the phone, and she's like, your manager just called me? And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, your manager called and said that you had sworn at him, and so he fired you, and he was really disappointed, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm working, right? He's not a teacher.
Right.
And she said to him, like, that's not my problem. Like, he works for you.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with me. Like, what a petty
love
shit.
it. Yeah, that's how
I'm gonna call your
That's
mom.
how I am as a supervisor.
Yeah. But so I was
Call
happy
your
to I was
mother.
happy to like leave that place.
Yeah.
She's dead.
It's funny, I went back like years later, with a friend of mine, and we went and
get out a Ouija board.
we talked to a couple of people that were there, and like the story had grown,
Good.
and it became like a little urban legend.
Yeah.
where
You put him in a headlock.
no, they said I took
Powerbombed him in the fryer.
I took a sandwich, like some burger,
Yeah.
and like threw it at him and like trashed the place. And
Wow.
like the story grew into like basically I went in and Clockwork Oranged the place. You know what I mean?
let's-
But anyway, back to the mall.
Is that what actually happened? And now
No.
you're finally going to be honest about it?
No, I went. That guy's being a dick, and that's all. That was the whole thing. I was speaking
Maybe
truth to
but this way,
power.
did you slap over like a fry?
No. I did squirt lighter fluid all over his shirt.
Yeah.
And then smoked a big cigar.
Yeah, but that's not the same as smacking a
It'd be a
burger."
real shame,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but no burgers were
Yeah,
harmed in
okay.
this
Yeah,
situation.
that's fine.
Anyway,
It was
no.
a chicken sandwich.
Yes.
So I hate fast food, dealing with it. I
Sure.
don't eat fast food anymore. So I started working at Arby's, and the place was, let's just say politely, mismanaged, right? So I got bumped up to assistant manager
Yeah.
like 2 weeks after working there.
Perfect.
And there was only one other assistant manager who'd been there forever who was a child. Right? Like
Yeah.
like it was very silly.
Yeah.
Like it got to a point where he got in an argument with another employee and I went, "You got to go home, man." And I said it to the assistant manager, and I remember when I did it in my head going, I've only been an assistant manager for like a month.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this to the guy that's been an assistant manager for way, way longer.
Yeah.
And I was totally bluffing.
Yeah.
But I just stood there and looked at him and went, "You got to go, man. You got to go home. I can't do this. You have to leave." And I just stood there like, who's going to blink, right? And he was like, "Fine." And he left and I went, "Oh my God. I just became this guy's boss." Right?
Yeah.
So I really did. I listen, the fast food aspect of it, I hated.
I like to think that when he went to clock out, somebody's like, "Hey, where are you going?" And he's like, "Ray's being a dick."
that guy's
And-
being a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. "Oh, well, you're fine. We're calling your mom."
Yeah.
Right?
It's just a
but,
cycle of violence.
Yeah. So, and then his child. No. So I really did enjoy that job. I look back at that job like, man, I had it so good.
Oh, yeah.
There were no responsibilities. I was just a single guy living in an apartment with friends.
Yeah.
And as long as I paid rent and had some money for like beer, everything was fine.
Yeah.
And then the manager put me in charge of hiring, and they had like no staff. So I just hired all of my friends.
Of course.
And anybody else that I hired, like, you know, high school kids or whatever, I made sure that they were decent and stuff, and they did the work.
Did you have to communicate with Arby's corporate or anything?
I never had to do corporate. That was the manager.
Yeah.
And
Well, why were you allowed to hire people?
because this manager was just like, I
don't
don't
care.
like it. I don't like confrontation. I don't like dealing with any situations.
Oh, maybe the
You do
manager
it.
was me.
Yeah. And so it was great because I would go in, like punch in, and then just be like, wonder what I'm going to do to fill this 8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I know,
Like
yeah.
I have 4 things I have to do over the day. And we've sort of established that like myself and like my roommate was working there.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then our other roommate was working there at one point. Like it was just like our refrigerator at home was just like Arby's stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we would have parties at our place and the Arby's people would go. It was just a place where like, man, I feel bad for anyone that bought food there for that year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like the high school kids did the work.
Of course.
And it got to a point where I would be like, well, we did an exchange every once in a while with other restaurants in the food court.
Right.
Like I want Chinese food for lunch today. So I'll go over there and say, hey, if you guys want Arby's for lunch, we'll do a trade because I
Right.
get a free meal.
Right.
So we'll do that. That's how it started. Then it became me getting bored and walking around the mall and being like, I'm going to go. I'll be gone for like an hour. I'll
Yeah.
see you guys in a while, you know.
You're at GameStop.
Yeah, this 16-year-old's in charge now. Bye.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm in charge, right? And it's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Brad.
Yeah. He's a little kiss ass and he does all the work. It's fine. Oh shit. No, but so I would just go around the mall.
Yeah.
And hang out, get to meet people. Hanging out with different folks at different areas of the mall. You get to know them. And then it started to become a little colonial era, right? Where bartering started to really unfold.
Perfect.
I got to a point where like I had established with Hudson News that they could have lunch anytime they wanted.
Right.
And we had all the magazines we wanted.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it was just like, and then I was a hero coming back from my little sojourns with a stack of fucking magazines of just like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's like, cool, we get to read whatever. We're reading Maxim and fucking Nintendo Power, or whatever the magazines are. Like game magazines and like stuff like that. And everybody was happy.
Yeah.
And then it became like, well, I know I can get that there. I'll trade the lunch for that, but I also know that this person over here wants that magazine, so I can hook that up. And it was just like its own little world, and I was the governor of this little town.
That's great.
And it did get to a point where we were so bored, and it was just there. And I think at some point you have to ask the question of like, if you have access to all these free magazines, and it just happens, at what point does it become porn?
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like one day where I was like, I said to one of the guys that worked there that I had hired, hey, go to the Hudson News, you know, give them this for their lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Come back with the magazines.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just come back with whatever. And he comes back with like 2 things we asked for and a stack of porns.
Wow.
And he's like, yeah, they didn't say anything. They just let me take the porns. I'm like, but what are you doing? You know what I mean? But
You're making
wild.
this sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made this dirty. You sullied it. Yeah. This bartering system.
You sullied our roast beef sandwiches.
It's true. No system can avoid corruption.
Yeah.
That's all this is. You've corrupted it, right?
Yeah.
Our utopia has been sullied. But because it did just turn into like these fucking idiots.
traded roast beef
just
for
like
porn.
standing in like the cooler,
Yeah.
right? And just like flipping through a porn magazine. I'm like, what are you guys?
Oh,
We can't do this.
yeah,
It turned gross.
Yeah.
And then while I was doing that, when I would close on Sundays, my manager told me that the district manager had informed him to take $500 from the night on Sunday, put it in an envelope, and leave it in the safe.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But like, this is not above board, right? But this
Yeah.
was the district manager.
Sure.
So I got another job. I left that. I started working retail, and my friends were still there.
Yeah.
And my friends called me one day, and they were like, "You should come down to the mall. We're all fired. It's it. This is it." The district manager came. They had sold the Arby's.
Oh, okay.
And so they showed up that day. The district manager showed up and went, well, you can either leave now or you can help us break the place down and you'll at least get paid for another day.
Wow.
Which is wild. So I went down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like these are my friends that need to pay their rent,
Right.
you know? And I was like, hey, you know, and he like shook my hand. He's like, oh, Ray, good to see you again, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. What was that $500 for every week? What was that about? And I'm asking that in front of all of the employees and
Right.
stuff. He's like, well, that's a conversation we can have. That's a conversation. I'm like, so you wanted me to give you $500 from this. This is just embezzling, right? You were just taking the money.
Wow.
And he was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then he told me to leave.
Yep.
But it was a very strange situation.
Wow.
But I look back at that, and it really was like we turned a legit like food operation into like the Lil Rascals like club.
Yeah.
You know, the clubhouse. We
Yeah.
turned it into a clubhouse, and that's why I'll never put Arby's food in my mouth ever again.
I love Arby's.
Oh, honey.
I'll
Sullied or otherwise.
honey.
I remembered a couple things I want to push through.
Yeah.
One of them, in terms of the whole like scamming / whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things we used to do at GameStop was once in a while you would do inventory. So like, let's say it's like you have 10 copies of Grand Theft Auto 4. We'd go look and we'd search everywhere. We'd search the drawers. We're like, we actually only have 8 copies, and we would adjust it. And this would be like not often, like maybe every 6 months.
Right.
When we needed money as employees to buy stuff from GameStop, we're like, all right, time to do some extra searching. And we'd move all the shelves and we'd do all that stuff to find the games that had fallen behind everything.
Yeah.
And we would trade them in as our own to get money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? To put on
Right.
gift cards. And I used to just fucking stack gift cards. So like I had like $500 on a gift card at one point in time because we would just do stuff like that. But one of the things I wanted to
I
say.
like how we're both just admitting theft. or fraud. You know what I mean? Like for Arby's, I was giving out so much free food because I had figured out this bartering system,
Right. Yeah.
and it was known. And like other stores, other employees from other stores would come and go, "Hey, I heard that you do this deal.
Yeah.
Is this cool?" You know what I mean? And and this would just happen. Friends would show up and be like, "Yeah, here's
you
your
come
food."
out and you've got your ears pierced.
Yeah, at the pagoda.
Yeah.
I went to the piercing pagoda.
Yes.
But I have
like makeup
on.
Yeah, I have at this point I have piercings fully around, all infected. All infected. I'm like,
you have so many like cat calendars in the back of Arby's, like a million of them.
I have a makeover on this side from Macy's and a makeover on this side from Filene's, right? And I'm like, this side I'm a winter, this side I'm an autumn.
You walk out and you're carrying a big bag from the children's place.
So many Build-A-Bears. He built all of our bears.
The one place that I never got to.
With roast beef.
The one place I never got
That's how he smuggled through
Bears.
in the bears. Yeah,
You have your own.
believe me, it's not far off.
Is it beef a bear or build a beef? I don't.
Build-A-Beef is different.
That's all right.
Build-A-Beef is different. Yeah.
I'd beef a bear.
You beef a bear?
I think so.
Christ. You know what a bear is, right? I mean, it's sort of just me. But
like
other
Bob.
than yeah, sure. I don't know. Bob the bear? No, so the one store we never got to have, it was like oh man, we got to get this bartering system. It was Suncoast Video. I wanted Suncoast so
That's the
bad.
best.
Yeah. But yeah, we just, I mean, if you really lay it out on the table.
Yeah.
And you do the spreadsheet on this. We were just stealing.
Yeah.
You were stealing and I was stealing.
I'll say this. Here's how.
No, I found it behind the counter. Right.
Well, it's interesting because for me, the initial inventory adjustment.
Yeah.
We did it completely by the books.
Yeah.
Here's where you look, double check, blah, blah, blah. Then when you find a game that was somewhere that you wouldn't look, the question of what do you do with it is probably adjust the inventory again.
Yes.
But we weren't really supposed to adjust the inventory.
Right.
Like that was like a very not often thing. So I don't know what the actual protocol
I think
would be.
I think GameStop loss prevention would say you stole.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then we'd also have to penny
Because
out.
for me, I was like, listen, I get a free meal for this shift. I happen to give that free meal for some magazines.
Yeah.
Also, this person gets a free meal for their shift.
Is that what did you only
happen
stick
to do this?
Did you only stick to the free meals? No. So here's my other thing. So on Black Friday, we were talking about that at GameStop.
But if you add it up over time.
Yes, there you go. Black Friday one year, like I remember I was ringing customers for 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like we used to have lines in like 2 registers, lines that went out into the mall and then crawled down the mall, especially at GameStop. And one year I was like 10 hours, I had a Diet A&W root beer. Do you remember this?
I do.
And I had it out next to the register and I was drinking it. And we had just gotten this new assistant manager. I think his name was Cam. I'm not sure what his name was. And he didn't know that my buddy Abe was the manager and that I was technically third key, which is right under assistant manager. And he brought him in the back. He's like, hey, you're not supposed to have drinks and food on the floor, right? And Abe's like, yeah, pretty much. Like that's pretty much the rule. And he's like, Chuck has a soda can. Like, you think we should write him up? This is on a day where your employees are like coming in at 4 a.m, working for 10 hours straight.
Welcome to
just
retail, baby.
And they're like, that guy has a drink. Let's write him up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever since that guy did that, he was such like a rule meister.
Yeah.
I hated that guy.
Yeah.
And I remember it's going to sound kind of mean, but there was another GameStop in Seekonk, where it's right next to where we are now. And this could be a whole nother episode. I don't know if you know about this thing that happened, but one year there was a heat wave in August, and there was a Cold Stone Creamery next to the GameStop, and the heat wave got so bad it like the electricity shut down and all the ice cream melted.
And it was just a stone.
It was just a stone.
Yeah, room temperature stone.
All the ice cream melted, and Cold Stone is like, this is too big of a loss. We're just going to move out.
What did the owner do? It was Steve, right?
Stone Cold.
Austin. Cold Stone Steve Austin.
So the Cold Stone was empty starting in like August, right?
Yeah.
And he said, we got to close. Bro.
And he said,
and that's
give me a hell yeah.
Yeah.
I said, all right, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But
the The People's Cold Stone is no more.
So Cold Stone moves out in August.
Yeah.
This is fucking crazy. This is 100% true. You can look this up. Black Friday, million people outside in front where there's GameStop, Best Buy, there's a Target there, whatever.
Yeah.
Tons of police in the front. They're like organizing traffic. A group of people did a heist where they went into the back of Cold Stone.
Yeah.
They broke down the wall next to
Yep,
it
yep.
to get into the back of GameStop where they had all the new consoles.
Hell yeah.
This is happening while the police are in front managing the lines.
I love it.
Crazy.
I love
it's
this
Die Hard
low
3.
stakes bullshit.
It's
you know what
Die
I
Hard.
mean?
Well, here's the thing. They stole $250,000 in
Mm-hmm.
merchandise. Their manager, which his name was Ray. This guy's not a Ray, but he was a Ray technically.
What is a Ray though?
You're a Ray. You're the Ray.
But I don't know what it means.
Just whatever traits you think you have, that's a Ray.
Okay.
Handsome,
See?
funny.
Right?
But see, like, I think this is the difference. Is like you say that, and then we pause where I'm gonna say like really positive attributes, like you did.
Yeah.
I just let you do it.
Okay.
But a Chuck, see, I think a Chuck, he would be like, whatever attributes I contain, and then you're like, da 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 da.
No, never. So anyway, the Ray, the manager,
Yeah.
walked into the GameStop to open it at like 5 a.m, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
He opens the back door, wall is gone, consoles are gone, drops from a third heart attack. Third, right?
Oh no! See now it's not a fun heist.
Well, here's what's funny. So Cam, the guy that came and worked at our store,
Yeah.
this had previously happened. He was the assistant manager at that time, and then he moved over to our store. That's the guy that tried to write me up, and I didn't like Cam, and so I'm like, you were there for that heist. You were there at that. Like, he's like, yeah, it was crazy. He's like, my friend Ray had a third heart attack from it, and I'm like, yeah, that's bad, but the heist, that's exciting. He's like, well, yeah, but my friend Ray had a heart attack, and I'm like, still exciting though, right? It was pretty exciting.
Can you stop saying my friend Ray had a heart attack? It's making me feel really
and
uncomfortable.
Cam's like, I mean, I guess it was kind of exciting. And then the next time the employee came in later in the day, I was just like, hey, this is Cam. He was at that. He was at the GameStop with the heist. He said that even though Ray had a heart attack, it was pretty exciting. Cam hated it.
Classic.
That's
Chuck.
a Chuck. Yeah, that's a Chuck.
Classic.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Oh man, no, I like that. I like the other than the heart attack. I think that's just a fun
the heist,
heist where
isn't
I'm
that
like,
crazy?
I look at that, I'm like, yeah, go for it.
of course,
I support this.
What I'd love to do is, if anyone knows what happened,
Yeah.
all those consoles have serial numbers.
Sure.
So if they stole so many consoles from one place and GameStop has all their serial numbers,
Yeah.
where were those consoles redistributed?
Right.
You can't sell them individually. That'd be too time consuming. You'd have to sell them to a business or to someone else who's going to resell them.
Yeah.
But those have to register as
I don't know.
stolen.
I don't know.
I know. I'd love to know about
Yeah.
it. Did you ever hear about that heist?
I never heard about
It's
it.
shocking,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's fun.
It's really
Yeah.
fun. I think that Ray's heart attack was
worth
it.
Yeah.
I think.
Because like
Rest in peace. But
Oh no! So that was my food industry.
I think,
thing.
as far as I know, he's alive. So if he is dead,
Okay.
I take back the joke. If he's alive, I'm sticking with it.
Okay. Because then I worked, retail stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
just did retail. I worked after McDonald's was a shoe store.
Okay.
I worked at Famous Footwear.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
Selling sneakers and
I can't picture any of these jobs. Arby's, McDonald's, Famous Footwear. It just seems weird to think of you in the referee
I
outfit.
only think of you.
there was,
as-
no.
That's
there
Foot
was no
Locker.
referee.
Oh yeah, that's Foot Locker.
Yeah.
I only think of Ray as a comedian.
Thank you.
I
and
think
then,
I could see you
oh, no.
working at, like, you could be like a sewer guy,
Uh-huh.
or like, let's see, what do you think? Construction guy.
Yeah, a high vis vest.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, goggles. I see goggles on you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're an aviator.
night swimmer?
No, you're a 1917 aviator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Ooh, with the pilot.
Yeah.
With the leather hat with the
Yeah.
straps
Yeah.
and the goggles.
Yeah.
Every
Scarf.
goggle, you fit in a goggle.
I'm a goggle guy. No, so I worked the job after Famous Footwear and all that stuff was Best Buy. I worked at Best Buy.
Oh, that's the best.
And I was in the TV section,
No,
like
that's
the
fun.
full service TV section, so like the big screen stuff and all that shit. And I have a history of like Arby's. There was that sketchy shit going on. with the district manager.
You traded TVs for porn, didn't you?
No. The other way.
Oh, okay.
I made porn for TVs.
Got it.
No, and then at Best Buy, like I just, I liked the job. It was fun enough.
Yeah.
So Black Friday, very familiar with that being there.
Yep.
And had some fun there. Met some good people. Enjoyed it. And then I found out later that the district manager, the general manager of the store, who had hired like a bunch of assistant managers from his old Best Buy.
Yes.
They were. The entire time I was working there, and then a little afterwards, after I left, they had like a complicated heist system.
Wow.
Involving all of the high-end appliances, like
Wow.
refrigerators and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they were basically making stuff disappear on the books, and then they were selling them like from Best Buy. Somebody would buy it, but it's just going to them.
Yeah.
So they all got found out after I had left.
Right.
After Arby's, I worked at Casual Mail, big and tall, because hey, that's for me.
Right.
Okay.
Ironically,
Did you sell goggles?
No goggles.
Part of
no
the
big
uniform,
or
though.
tall goggles. But yeah, fat people in the water just got to close their eyes. That's it.
He's got tall goggles.
Yeah.
No, I want it like this, like.
yeah. Like a crab's goggles. Yeah. I worked at Casual Mail because, it's nice to have representation at the big and tall store.
Yes.
Because now if you go to a big and tall store, it's all at least like little petite women that are working there.
Yeah.
And I'm
Really?
like, you don't know. You don't know what it's like
Right.
to be me. And so I worked there. And I got a call from corporate like after I left there, and I was in college. I got a call from like the head loss prevention guy, and was like, "Well, tell me about these returns you did." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Right?
Yeah.
And we go through it. I'm like, I think I'm in trouble. I don't know what's going on. And we get to the bottom of the situation. My manager there, had been making false returns.
Oh yeah.
And taking the money. Like to a degree, he went to jail.
Woo! I know.
I don't know if he's out yet, but he
Oh
went
my
to
God.
jail. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's just all of this stuff. And I think all of those things did like create a thing in me where I'm like, a 9 to 5 is fucking bullshit and it's all corrupt shit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
for sure.
I think it did help me. I just hit the microphone. I'm getting all worked up now.
Yeah.
I think it did help me realize that corporate America is robbing us blind. No, I think it helped me go, you know what? An alternative like work lifestyle is fine. And I pursued comedy.
Well,
and then I had the job at the movie theater. But that's it.
Well, one of the things that happened to me was at GameStop, my manager Abe was out for 2 weeks because his wife Fawn was having their son Grayson.
Mhm.
And I was close to all of them. And he's like, you have to
Were
work.
you at the birth?
Yes. No, I wasn't. I was working the shifts. He was like, you have to work my shifts for these 2 weeks.
They had
And
to
I'm
wait
like, okay.
for Chuck's shift to end so that Chuck could come and cut the cord.
Yeah. So she's holding the baby like, I'd love to put this down.
You can't.
Yeah.
So
Chuck's selling.
It's Sniper Elite 2 release day, so it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. So get this.
Chuck's selling Metroid Prime tonight.
So I had to work all of his shifts.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you work in a mall GameStop at the time, you would come in at 8 for the mall to open at 9. You would do all your shit before the opening, but then you'd work completely by yourself until 5, and then someone comes in.
Yeah.
And they had just updated their like login system, their time clock essentially. And every day you'd have to sign for packages of new games and new product, whatever. So I did that for those 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, I got a paycheck that didn't reflect any of my extra hours. And I wrote to them, and I'm like, hey, like I don't know what happened. And I would notice a couple of times I went to clock in, and then when I went to clock out, it would say I wasn't clocked in. And so I said, I don't know what happened. And they're like, we don't have any clock-ins on these on these days from you. And I think it was just the system was messed up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I'm like, but I worked these, and also I was the only person working these, and also I signed for 1 million packages during this time, and you guys know you only have one manager on.
Yeah.
So do you think the store wasn't open on these days? Like, what do you think happened?
Right.
And they're like, we're not going to pay you for those hours.
Wow.
So I didn't want to fuck over Abe. So I waited through Black Friday and Christmas. And then I put in my 2 weeks. I was like, fuck this. I'm like, I worked like so much more than I normally do, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
And they called me and they were like, why are you quitting? And I was like, this is what happened. And they're like, okay. And the next day I got an email and it's like, don't come in again. You're not going to work for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're just sending you a check for 80 hours, which is the next if you worked 40 hours a week for the next 2 weeks.
Right.
And so like, it's weird because they kind of made up for it because they paid me more.
They paid you for that. Yeah.
They paid me more than it.
Right.
But it had to get to the point where I quit.
Yeah.
For them to do that.
I'll say, hey, that's a great way to do it, for them to just be like the idea of a retail associate getting a severance package is insane. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's funny because if the amount of hours extra that they probably should have paid me probably was around like 50 to 60, and they gave me 80, and it was almost like a don't do anything about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it still was
for
shitty.
Sure.
Like, so shitty.
Yeah. No, there's just so many. There's so many scenarios where it was just shown like the company doesn't care about you.
No.
You know what I mean? And like I grew up with like my mom. It was a single parent household. It was just my mom.
Yeah.
And she worked like a lot of different types of jobs throughout my childhood and kind of coming through things.
Yeah.
And seeing how companies would like treat her and stuff like that. So I really did grow up with this idea of like,
me too.
This is like, you can do that, but you're just giving them your time.
Right.
Do not give them a fucking ounce of anything more. Give them your time.
This is one of the things that was interesting for me growing up because I was born in 84 and my dad had started his company the year before I was born.
Yeah.
So from the age of like, let's say like 10 or whatever, when I started understanding like, oh, this is my dad's job, this is what my mom does, whatever, I kind of just saw the employer side of it. And my dad is like super, you know, like obviously it was very DIY at the time. It's a big company now that he has, but he was very much about his employees. He gives people raises constantly. He's always having parties for them. And it was really weird when I got into the workforce. I started working when I was like 14 at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And seeing that people are just like, oh, like, you need like more shifts this week because you have something to pay for. Fuck you. By the way, we need you to work extra this week for us. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is the same thing in both directions.
Yeah.
And you're saying no to me about this.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like helping me out, but you expect me to. And I really pushed back on all of that and kind of had a lot of disagreements with managers over the years and different things like that because I worked at a ton of different places, but I always felt that way.
Yeah. Even my very first job, I was a paper boy.
Yeah.
I delivered Foster's Daily Democrat.
And I really like that now you're made out of brick. There's a lot more, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that where you were straw, which was pretty good, but still could be blown down.
That's the joke you went with?
Three Little Pigs.
All right, that's fair. You don't watch Atlanta. Because
No.
there's Paperboy. Paperboy's in that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Paperboy. Anyway, so I was a paperboy, and I, rode my bike.
Yep.
Delivered the paper. Had my little sack of news.
That's
got some news for you.
This is all. I can't picture you doing these things.
It's true, and it
I
happens.
can see it as a
Did you wear a
paperboy.
newsboy cap?
Yeah.
No. Oh, Chuck. I'm not a ghost from like the Depression era.
You were.
Yeah, I had a cat. I remember getting in a huge gang war with the publishers. Christian Bale was there.
Yeah,
we
makes sense.
sang a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sang a lot.
It was a good time.
It was okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fighting. There were blades.
Ooh,
we
all
were
right.
blade fighters.
Yes.
We did a lot of blade fights.
Blade fighting.
That's
yeah.
so funny.
But yeah, so I was a newspaper little boy, and I bring jingle jangle, I've got your
Yep.
news. That's what I always said it. Everybody said it.
Every house.
Here he comes, jingle jangle, I've got your news, right? And they go, oh, here he is, right? Oh,
You had the newsboy cap with bells on it.
Yeah.
I had a stick. I had a stick.
Yeah.
It was the news stick.
Yeah, of course.
It's a whole thing. And but no, I would deliver the paper, and I did this rain or shine. You know what I mean? I remember riding my bike in snow,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is just crazy.
God, you
Yeah.
maniac. I love it.
And but there were nice times in that. I remember like listening on a Walkman to like Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker while looking at all like the Christmas lights. While I was
that's a
delivering
beautiful
papers and stuff.
memory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
We should
wonderful.
all.
Let's
Hold on.
all be newspaper
Let's
boys.
all. Can we make a promise?
No.
Christmas Eve this year, we're all gonna rent bikes. We're gonna sync up.
Yeah,
sync
and
up
we'll do that. Yeah.
Some
No,
nutcracker.
yeah. So I know what I'm
and
doing. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Now, no paper boys now. Paper boy went away. Paper man came.
Yep.
The paper man, he came, and I don't like it. I like a paper boy. The paper man is scary. He has like a station wagon.
Yes,
and comes
it
at
is
3 in the
always a
morning.
station wagon.
Yes, the paper man. And here's my theory. Here's why I think when the paper boy went away, the paper man came. Because when the paper boy went away, all of the pedophiles that preyed on the paper boys
became paper
They
men.
went, well, I don't have anything else to do.
I
And
know
they
the
became-
route.
Yeah, I know the route because I follow it every day. And they became paper men.
That makes sense.
Right? Yeah, I think that's my theory.
Yeah.
Paper
That's
boy
good.
went away, paper men came in.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I did that job and I liked what I was doing and I
Sure.
got to know the route. I got to know the people.
Sure.
You know, I would joke around with like my mom. Like
Sure.
I'm in middle school at this point and just like going around and going, oh, there's the non-tippers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the house. Every week they would give me $2.25 on the dot.
Perfect.
And I'm like, you know, this is all I get for
Yeah.
the week of doing this every goddamn day, right? But anyway, that would happen. And, you know, I made some money. It was
Yeah.
decent. And
Yeah.
Christmas time was always great because
Yep.
there was tips, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even though the non-tippers still $2.25. I
Wow.
remember that house. But anyway,
Go burn it down.
fuckers.
I love
They were
Christmas
elderly. They're
getting-
probably gone now.
Yeah.
I love people getting people.
So
Christmas
look who
presents.
won.
I think about the idea of getting everyone I ever meet a Christmas present. Like I'll see,
Yeah.
like I'll meet a person one time, and I'll be like, "Oof, should I get them a Christmas present?" Like once for 5 minutes.
That's like a weird passive
It's
aggression
weird.
thing.
It's weird. I've
It's
been-
a power thing for you, I think.
No, it's not a power thing. It's a gift giving lover.
What?
It's a
What?
loving of Christmas.
Gift giving lover.
I'm full of joy.
I didn't know there were hard G's.
But hold on.
Gift
There's-
giving
there's
lover.
No, there's no power. It's appreciation, and we share a bond. And I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay.
What are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
no. It sounds like there's no power involved the way you're saying it. The way you're going like gift giving lover, and it's about showing that I care.
It is. It's saying I respect our relationship. Aren't you so special to
Yeah.
me?
And then they're like, I just met you one
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so many presents that people are like, "Who is what?
Yeah.
What is
yeah,
this for?"
yeah. But no, so
No power.
No power. Okay, so I had that job. I really liked it. Everything was fine. And then at some point, I remember this. This is keep in mind my first experience with work.
Right.
My
Yes,
first
yeah.
experience with like I do this job.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Foster's Daily Democrat did a thing where they like gave out trial subscriptions to anyone that fucking wanted it.
Oh jeez.
So one day I was delivering my papers and I had like my 30 something people I delivered to.
Yep.
And I could do it. I had my satchel and I was done. Then this day came and it was just here's all the new people on your route.
Yep.
So you have no idea who or where these things are. You have to map out all of the stuff,
Yep.
right? In the order of which you do it. Otherwise, you have to backtrack.
Yep. Not fun.
And, you know, here's like 50 more papers.
Yeah.
And it was legitimately like 50 more people on
Yeah.
the route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to make trips.
Yeah.
Yep.
I couldn't put it all in one bag, newspaper
Right,
bag. I had to
right.
make trips.
Yeah.
And they were free subscriptions.
Right.
Yeah.
Which meant I wasn't getting paid
Yeah.
because the
Right.
way it worked was like enough people paid by check or card
Yeah.
to cover the papers that I like. Technically, I bought all of those
Yeah.
papers,
Right.
and then they pay me their $2.25 a week,
Right.
and that's how I make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? They got 50 free subscribers, and I'm like, they're not paying me anything,
Right.
And I did it for 1 week, and it was so fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was come home from school,
Yeah.
deliver papers,
Yeah.
and go home at like 7 o'clock at night,
Right.
8 o'clock at night. I was doing this for like 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
To do that as a middle school kid.
Yeah.
And like riding my bike the whole time, and it was ridiculous. And then at the end of the week, seeing like those people didn't even tip either. Like,
Yeah.
I did all of this for free. I can't do this anymore.
No,
I
yeah,
can't
that's
do it.
crazy.
And so I called and I was like, I quit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't do this. And the dude gave me like such a shitty
Oh,
like
yeah.
litany of like, well, you know, I really thought you would be someone who sticks it out and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I didn't know you were a quitter. And I'm like, even then, as a middle school kid, I was like, you're a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not like a counselor or a teacher or anything like that. You don't talk to me like you're a disappointed like authority figure.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just a guy that sends me those papers I buy from you.
Disappointed authority figure is. That's my default.
That's your kink.
Yeah.
That's what it says on Pornhub.
Yes,
whenever you,
it is.
Whenever you have someone else type it in.
Right.
Because if they type it in, you didn't go to it.
That's
You
true.
just happen to see it.
Yeah. What can I do? I'm powerless in this situation.
Right. And that's part of what
Just like
helps you
receiving
get
a
there.
gift from Chuck.
Yeah.
Powerless.
I can't believe you
You're
would
gonna
take
this
You would
gift.
take my giving spirit and turn it against me. That's you know what? Who would do that? A Ray would do that. Ray would take my gift giving spirit and make it bad.
All right. I can see you turning into a cartoon. It's crazy. but no, I think that really did show me then, like, they don't give a fuck about you. You know what I mean?
It's about them
very
getting their
interesting.
shit done and fuck you.
Real quick, how did the episode with the Jason Lee interview turn into, like, us, like, pretty close to Marxism? Right?
So
I have a cute anecdote.
Cute.
Oh, hit me with this.
And then we have my little thing I want to bring up.
Oh, please don't.
I'm gonna get you.
I heard that woman said her clit was bigger than your little
I'm
thing.
gonna give you a gift so big that you could never repay it.
I'm gonna stretch out your stocking.
My stocking is prolapsed.
You haven't seen my stocking when it was 20.
Brad, stop saying that. It's just inside out.
Oh, if only I had a 20-year-old stocking.
Maybe my stocking when I was 20.
Yeah.
So the
gifts fall right out of it.
It's the greatest gift of all.
So the spring of 1996. I wanted the Sailor Moon soundtrack, songs from the show Sailor Moon, featuring.
That's weird.
Was this to shoot up a school or something? Or?
It was because I my schedule, my senior year.
I saw someone do a school shooting act out. That's a Ray. That's a Ray.
That's right. Listen, I bring new dimensions to theater.
Yeah.
If you're listening, listener, I'm so sorry you're missing out.
I'm sorry, but for different reasons.
Let's just that could be the name of this podcast.
Can we make him a little bit more like jazzy where he's like,
sure. Yeah, to the beat. Yeah.
It's the opening to Baby Driver.
I imagine a shooter just going.
A little flourish. And it's I don't want to.
No, we're done.
I'm not going to do the anime song. I was going to do it, but that would be pushing it.
I liked Sailor Moon, and the way my schedule worked is that I only had 2 hours at school, or 4 hours at school. My second, so I was home early, and I only had one class that I was taking at a community college at the time. So I was like home to watch Sailor Moon 4 of the 5 days of the week. And nobody else was watching it, and it felt like, it's this, even though it's on like WGN TV. So it goes to Chicagoland.
Wagon TV?
Yep. Wagon TV.
WGN.
Yeah.
Wagon TV.
Yeah.
Yes. Is
Okay.
that a thing?
I don't know.
WGN TV is a station in Chicago.
Oh,
like a
okay.
local
Maybe
station.
like wigging out.
Yep. Just WGN. Just the call signs. Just the letters.
Wagon.
Yep.
Wigging out.
You're wigging out. Hey, it's the Wigmeister.
Oh, yeah.
It's a TV station. Why is he doing this?
We're morning radio guys. Yes. That's what's happening. Yes. We have turned Wagon into a morning station.
You're wigging out with the wagon.
Yeah.
Let's get those rolling out on the wagon. It's 6:45 a.m. I've been up for 13 hours.
Hey, it's the wig man. And he has like a crazy wig every day.
Right? Clang, 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 clang. We're here with
So I want this CD.
No, but you're supposed to do traffic.
And as you can imagine, CD it's difficult to find. We're going to all these different places.
Yeah.
We're looking at
You're
Kmart.
going
We're looking
crazy
at
for this fucking
CD
anime
Trading Post. We're looking at Best
CD
Buy,
Trading
Circuits.
Post?
Yeah, as a local place.
Are you from a Western?
Yeah, it was Wagon TV.
Yeah, Wagon
the CD
TV
Trading
going
Post.
to the, what was it, the CD?
CD Trading Post.
Trading Post?
Yeah, I bought a lot of CDs.
I've got
$7.99.
many CDs, and I'd like to eat for the winter, please.
Yes.
And Ray's trading roast beef for porn.
Hello. Thunk.
You pick up the porn sack.
Yeah. Oh, this is just as hot and juicy.
So we were at River Oaks Mall
Okay.
in Northeast Illinois. Maybe River Oaks, Illinois.
How many
I don't
days
know.
did it take to get there?
Well,
Who got dysentery on the way?
It would have been 3 days, but the river was high.
Oh, no.
And we had to caulk the wagon.
Yeah. TV.
So we get there, and I was probably 17. My friends are 18, 19, 20. We're in that age range, and they're like, "Roar, have you ever had a pee-gasm?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?"
What?
And they're like, "When you pee and it feels so good that you have to make a sound." And I'm like, "That's
Like,
Sure,
I think Jim Carrey as Lloyd Christmas does it in Dumb and Dumber.
yeah."
Yeah.
And it's the idea, they pee-gasm. We're all
Yeah.
teenage boys. We think it's funny, and so we go into the River Oaks Mall. We're gonna go to the CD store and look for the CD.
What
but
was
we're
this
like,
one called?
This was still the Sailor Moon CD.
No.
Oh,
What was the CD store?
Oh,
because the
geez.
other one was Trading Post.
It was honestly, I
it
don't
was
know.
the compact disc general store.
Yeah,
It was the music market.
honestly, it was probably something like a Suncoast.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And so we go down and urinals and we're making sounds. We're loud pee-gasms, and it's obnoxious. It's not funny, but it's like
Yeah.
I mean
that was pretty funny.
well, I'll say this: it's one person doing it one time, and not
Yeah.
four people
Doing it 100
going for
times.
volume.
Yeah.
And so wash our hands, walk out. Or I walked out, and I'm standing in the
Arms
long
crossed,
hallway. These kids, and
These children that are older than me.
right. And my friends come out, rent-a-cops coming down the long hallway to the bathroom, and they're like,
Okay.
"Get out of here!" And we're like, "What?" And they're like, "You guys can't be screaming and making noise. Get out of here."
Our cab. I will say our cab.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All rental cops are bastards.
Yeah.
And so I was distanced from my friends, and I'm like, I can go check the CD stores. I'm like pretending to get a drink.
Come
And-
on, Roar. And you're like, and you just back into a
You
crowd.
pretend you have no idea what
Roar?
they're talking about.
What a weird name.
Brad, don't do this.
Yes.
You just vanish into the crowd.
And so we exit, and so we're standing there, and like probably 7 rent-a-cops, like 2 SUVs, like are confronting us. Now, unbeknownst to us, someone prior to us going in the bathroom had vandalized the stalls, like knocked down the toilet paper thing through, I don't know how close we were in time, if the police were called on them or if it was us.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is, but they're like, "You guys vandalized the stalls," and we're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And non-confrontational. I'm like, "I'm going to jail for this," and like not, of course, speaking up in my own defense.
Right.
And my friend, who was a little bit of a Chuck,
Wow. He sounds awesome.
yeah. He had no problem standing up to authority figures whose only authority was the power you give them.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, "Oh, you have a uniform. You're clearly in charge here."
Yeah.
And so my friend is
And your
like,
friend
"No."
walked up and you're like, you hear that? I'm not scared anymore.
I was scared. And so they're like, we didn't do anything. And they weren't even admitting to making noise in the bathroom. They're like, "I don't know what it was. Probably something in the pipes." And I'm like,
Oh, that's fun. I love to.
Yeah.
"Oh,"
okay.
and so they're like, "All right, get out of here." And we left, and I didn't get my CD, but I'm like, I got thrown out of a mall. And I was so like ashamed
Oh my God.
that like this would be carried with me. And
you were, I made a Kevin McAllister joke just now. You were Kevin McAllister.
Yeah.
Like, I can absolutely picture you
yeah.
walking with the toothbrush going, I'm a criminal.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I
Well,
really
that-
do think-
that
but only you're a full grown adult.
Yeah, I did accidentally shoplift from a Kmart. And
We got him.
I returned
Come
it.
on in, everybody.
I returned it.
Finally admitted it.
So the I got thrown out of the mall and just was like scared to go back to that mall.
Sure. Yeah,
because
yeah.
like, well, they'll clearly recognize me as
Yeah.
the guy they threw out.
Yeah, right.
You know, one of 4 teen boys that they threw out for making too much noise in a bathroom.
Yeah.
And it's it's dumb. Good news, they did event. My friends found the CD for me at Tower Records in Chicago, and they were like, it was $22, and I'm like, worth it. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Oh man, I love it. Like I never got kicked out of the mall.
Yeah.
I got banned from the mall.
Yeah.
What did you do?
You know, I'm a young filmmaker.
Okay.
And, when I was like 17, there's a song from Blink-182 called Pathetic, and it's a great song, great punk rock song. And we were like, oh, let's just like run and like sing the song and like make a music video essentially. And we did it around where I lived, and then we wanted to run through the mall, myself, my buddy Lou Perella, my buddy Chris at the time, and we were running through the mall, and the security guards were like, you can't film in the mall because you can't get the signs in. Whatever they said.
Yeah.
They were like, you're banned from the mall. So we continued it outside, but we made big signs. And it was like, Swansea Mall security sucks. They kicked us out of the mall. And then we ripped part of it and said they ripped our sign, which I think was funny.
That's
cute.
But it was just for filming and like being stupid.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Because what was closer to where we lived when I was growing up was the Kittery outlets.
Yeah.
Outlet stores.
Yeah, I went there a couple years ago.
And it's a whole bunch of different outlets all connected
Right.
on Route 1.
I believe there's a Levi's outlet.
There is. And this is where the Kittery Trading Post is. They don't have CDs there.
Well, then why?
They got
It was
moose.
mostly grain, horse feed.
Yeah. A
Spurs.
dress for your woman. Things like that. But no, it was just so spread out, and we would end up over there, right? We would just end up there in the middle of the night, because there's nothing else to do, and like the one of us that has a license at that time because they were a little older, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
We just end up there. So many nights of like really dumb shit.
Yeah.
We never broke into any stores or anything like that. I do remember once being very close to. It was a very funny situation because we were fucking around.
Yep.
We had found a dolly behind one of the
Yeah,
stores.
right. Yeah.
You know, like you move
Oh, yeah.
crates and boxes
Yeah, like
with a dolly.
wheel cart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had found some milk crates, and we had found some rope. And so naturally, we tied the one end of the rope to the back end of my friend's car.
Yes.
And then laid the dolly down and put the handles of the dolly in a milk crate, because it's plastic, so that'll rub on the ground fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got wheels, and then we would sit on the dolly and hold onto the rope.
Wow.
And be towed.
That's fun.
Right? So
Yeah.
we were doing that. Real fun time.
Yeah.
Eventually, like the plastic of the milk crate wears through.
Yeah, sure does.
Sparks are flying.
Oh, this is great.
And we're having
that's
fun
fun.
with it. It was a really fun time.
I would
Yeah.
do that today if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
it was great. We
I
had a
would
blast.
not.
Yeah.
Like we would do that. We drove into snowbanks and stuff. My best friend
the
Sean
best.
fucked up his parents' like
I
old
love
Subaru that they
crashing
gave him.
cars and
just
stuff.
smashing
Best.
into snowbanks and stuff. But the night that we had the dolly and we were just like surfing on this thing,
Right.
Yeah.
I remember we're doing that. I'm on the thing and I'm holding the rope.
Yeah.
The rope at some point, it's just like this cheap rope we found.
Yeah.
It snapped and it came flying back and hit me in the fucking like neck and
Whoa.
chest and chin and stuff. And I thought for sure like, oh, this is gushing blood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just hurt and I had a red mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as it broke and we're standing there and we had moved the dolly aside and they're looking at me, the cops come around the corner.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
The cops come around the corner.
Yep.
ACAB.
One car, and then like another car comes around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're fucked, right?
Yeah.
We are fucked now. But they were like, yeah, we heard about some some stuff going on. We're like, yeah, we saw these guys earlier. Da-da-da. And they fell for it.
Wow.
Like they were just like, oh, okay. And they were like, can we check your trunk? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Look in the trunk. Who cares?
Yeah.
And they looked in the trunk of the car and there was nothing there. Like we aren't stealing anything. We're not vandalizing
Right.
anything. And they were like, okay, cool. But we were like, holy shit. If he had come around the corner 30 seconds earlier,
Yeah.
he would have seen a big fat teenage boy riding a fucking dolly, shooting sparks out right behind the outlets.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, did a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah,
a lot of dumb shit. It was fun.
We'll do an episode at some point, and I'll tell you about our car tag experiences in high school. This was dangerous.
Yes.
And it was bad news.
Yeah.
But the last thing I wanted to say about malls, and I wanted to bring this up, I had an idea a long time ago, and obviously I don't think it's ever going to turn into anything. I do love Mallrats. I love the movie Mallrats, and it's very fun. And it's essentially based on two guys who both break up with their girlfriends and try to win them back. And also there's like a dating game show.
Yeah.
But here's what I would love from like a mall TV show.
Mall TV show?
And this would have to be set in like 2001, 2002.
Okay.
Or maybe, 99, whatever.
Okay.
I'd love the idea of a TV show set at a mall that centered around a kid who worked at wherever, let's say GameStop, because I worked at GameStop, whatever, or maybe even a restaurant. And it's basically about the community of the mall and all the different stores and all the different types of people that work there and the food court.
Yeah.
It's such a good structure for bringing community in and having a place for different types of people to be together organically.
It's almost like the show Superstore, only it's happening in a mall.
Right. I think that
kind of.
I mean, never saw Superstore, which
It was
I'm
great. It was a
guessing
very
is
funny
like,
show.
is like Walmart.
Yeah.
But what's cool about the idea of a mall is that every store really has its own identity.
Oh, sure.
So parts that take place in a Hot Topic are really different than parts that take place in like one of those weird spiritual herbal stores.
Yeah, of course.
Or like a big store like a JCPenney or like GameStop or like the restaurant. And you have such a organic, forced community that I just think it's like the perfect place to say, this is why this person met this person. This is why these type of people are dealing with these type of people. You could have rivalries between similar stores.
Sure.
But I think that for a TV show, it's like an endless thing of we hired this new person. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Or this other place hired this new person and he's in the mall. Or there's a new security guard or whatever.
Yeah.
And you could really have a world of different, not only a world of community, but a world of different communities.
Sure, yeah.
And I think it'd be just like so rife for that kind of continuous storytelling that I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of shocked that nothing like that has ever come out. Right?
Sure, it's tough now because I think
they're dead.
You just can't relate to it. Like
Right.
if you were to do that show today, even if you have it take place earlier, like in the 90s, or the 80s, I think that's the only way it would work. You'd have to go back to the 80s, maybe the 90s.
I think
but
late
part
90s.
of it would have to be part of the show would have to be conscious of being like a period thing.
Right. Well, I think
and
you
be
can-
a lot of jokes about that. Otherwise, we would look at this and go, I just can't relate with this anymore because it doesn't exist.
I
You know
think
what
that
I mean?
a lot of people, I would like to set it probably early 2000s because to me, when I think of malls, from my personal experience, I do think of the music of NSYNC and Britney Spears and the movies that are out at that time. And I think that there is a world around that pop culture time period.
Sure. I guess for me, I just think of the 90s because that's like that's
Sure.
that period. That's when I was in high school. Was
Yeah.
the late 90s, right? Like
Yeah.
I was a graduate for 2001.
I was
So like
a
that-
sophomore in 2000. Similar time.
Right.
I think of the first mall built in the late 50s outside of Detroit. So that's
Actually,
when I
do you know
would
what
say.
I thought the first mall was in Providence.
No, I don't think so.
The arcade was America's first mall.
I think indoor contained shopping mall is different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like mall, you're talking about like outside?
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
That's not what I think of when I
Right.
think of mall. I think of mall as being like in a structure.
Can I bring up a thing that's serious and not funny at all?
Well, before we finish this thing, I just think that I am surprised. I want to just kind of reiterate. I really am surprised that no one said like, why don't we just make this? You could put anyone anywhere. You can switch it any time, and it feels organic. As opposed to the TV shows that like.
Wait, you're asking why no one said, why don't we make this idea that you have?
Well, how come no one has ever made a TV show based in a mall?
Sure,
It just seems
yeah.
it seems like such an easy thing to manipulate when you have so many other shows where it's like, I guess we got to bring in this new character. It's this person's brother that we haven't met yet, and he's going through hard. It's like everything you want to do for a TV show to create syndication, to do all that stuff. A mall is the perfect place to make it.
Wasn't there a show called Life on a Stick? And it was like at a food court, like a corn dog on a stick place.
Oh, no,
but
I don't know about that.
I don't know
Yeah.
how expanded it went. It was like a Fox comedy or something.
Maybe
like that.
we should write the first season for fun.
Let's do it.
Like I
Just
know
the
Roseanne.
the whole first season for fun.
Roseanne worked at a diner that's inside of the mall.
Sure.
It's in a department store inside the mall.
Right.
And they
Right.
spent a lot of time at the mall.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, so the serious thing is we have all of these abandoned mall spaces now.
Yeah.
I would love to, like I've talked about this before, it's a very dry thing, and I'm sorry to bring it up, but I just think it would be a good thing to happen for the world.
Yeah.
Is I would love to see a mall turned into like housing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that they're thinking about that with the Swansea Mall.
Yeah, it would be amazing to have like low income housing.
Yes.
And like get rid of some of the parking lot stuff there and put in some greenery.
Right.
Yeah.
But then have other elements in this building, because you could have essentially like an indoor kind of communal area
For sure.
and have like apartments all along the thing.
I would
But
love
then
to move into a mall.
But you also then get like the ability to have other services there if it's for low income housing.
Like dentist.
You can have okay. That sounds like an Old West thing, right? Like we've got a village now and we got the dentist.
I would love it.
But yeah, no, I mean like having like childcare services.
Yes, yeah,
and
for
having like maybe some adult ed stuff going on or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be amazing. Maybe like a food pantry or something. You know what I mean? Like have a thing that is it's all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it takes care of that issue of if you're low and you're in the struggles, right?
Yeah.
Like access to a lot of things is off the table. You know, you have to take the bus or public
Right.
transportation.
Right.
And, America is not really set up with great public transportation.
Right.
It would be an amazing thing. And there's so many of them. There are so many abandoned malls. And
know.
I feel like to put it into that would be nice. The scary thing is then it could become the half-assed version where it becomes like the projects.
Like a
Right.
slumlord.
Yeah,
It takes
where
over,
it's
yeah.
like a slum building kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
And that's the downside.
Yeah.
However, fingers crossed doesn't happen, although we already established every system has corruption.
That's
so-
true. That's true. I'll say let's open a paintball field
Yes.
on the top floor of a mall.
Okay.
Because then
Okay.
like paintball fields outside, you're limited by weather.
Yeah.
There's in a mall, 24/7 paintball.
I always said like
It's
I'd
true.
love to see a new zombie movie, and obviously you can reference Dawn of the Dead, but within a shuttered mall.
Yeah.
And for some reason people are stuck inside it. I got to say I watched the Silver City Galleria Mall, which is where I worked at GameStop. I watched the destruction. They took down the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it was like fucking sad. It made
Yeah,
me
yeah.
sad. I love them. I love them all.
I always
them all.
liked the mall. I always
love
liked
them
the mall. When I was in high school, like my friend Sean and I, my best friend and I, like we were like mall heads.
Yeah.
We were mall rats, right?
Yeah.
And we were like proudly so.
Yeah.
And we like made sojourns to other malls.
Me too. I
Right?
love
like
that.
we were like, let's go to this mall. And then like the whole point is to go to that mall. You
How
know
do-
what I
how
mean?
do you like feel like a mall during Christmas?
Sure,
The
yeah,
Providence
absolutely.
Place Mall in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Their Christmas ornaments that they hang from the ceiling that are like 15 by 15 feet that hang
Yeah.
everywhere are fucking
I got to be
awesome.
honest with you. I was just there with Finn.
Did they not have them?
They had them. They have them.
They were just deflated.
No, they were there and they were full, but not enough for the rest. It's like at the top. There should be more
Yeah,
like lights
okay.
and stuff. Because like I remember like the Fox Run Mall, like it was
Yeah.
one floor, but it had a lot there. The Crystal Mall in Connecticut,
Yeah.
that's one that like really went all out with like Christmas decks and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always fun. That's always a fun
I
thing.
love malls.
for sure.
I know we gotta
I
end
miss
this
the
up.
mall
I miss the
culture.
mall.
I miss the mall.
We miss the mall. We'll talk more retail, more mall. This episode's going to be like 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Oh,
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I just like food courts. That's what I miss.
I
The
will
ability
say-
to just be like, yeah, I'll have a little of that, but
Yeah.
also smell this while I'm
Oh,
eating it.
yeah.
The best thing, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say about malls. I love it when you're just like, let's walk the food court. We used to do this all the time.
Yep.
You get a sample from
Oh,
every
yeah, yeah,
place.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a day.
Yeah.
That's a fun
Oh my
day.
god! The last thing I'll say about the food court is so we worked at the Arby's, and
Right.
the parent company also owned the Orange Julius
Okay.
at the corner.
Yep.
And the Orange Julius, which is just an amazing thing in and of itself, the idea that that was like a whole store
Yes.
where we just it's like really cold orange juice, guys. Right? But I remember some of the people that worked there, they would come over and they'd be like, let's just do the switch and stuff.
Yeah.
But we were always like, I don't want Orange Julius, right? Like, this sucks. And I remember one girl that worked there, she would come over, and over her shift, she
Yeah.
would come over and she would be drunker and drunker when she came over.
Wow,
every
that's
once in a
fun.
while.
In the
Yeah.
mall?
Yeah, and then I remember going over to the Orange Julius to get something because we were like, sister store kind of
Right.
situation.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and she's sitting on a crate in the back, and she's pouring vodka into an Orange Julius,
Perfect.
and that's what she did during her shift.
Perfect.
Wow.
And I honestly, if you're gonna do it, working at Orange Julius,
Yeah.
pretty good mixer,
Makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
I tried to do it with a roast beef sandwich. It was disgusting. Yeah. So wet and stingy.
Right? Do you have a final mall thing?
It's weird because I miss Pizza Pizzazz is what I miss. There were 2 malls.
I love the names of these things from the Midwest. for you.
Dude, you know about Boz's?
Boz's?
This is my favorite thing in the whole world.
Boz's Hot Dogs is like a little chain or franchise or whatever
You're gonna find out why.
in Northwest Indiana, and then like one in Sauk Village, Illinois, or something. And but the
Wait,
logo,
what was the location?
Sauk Village, the Sauk Indians,
Sauk.
SAUK, Sauk.
Oh, he was
Village.
telling me about hilarious.
Village, okay.
Give him
Yes.
some of the names of Indiana places.
It's fine.
It's like Gobbler's Knob and stuff like that.
Floyd's Knobs.
I thought it was Gobbler's
Floyd's
No,
Knob.
you made up Gobbler's Knob. Floyd's Knobs, Indiana.
Gobbler's.
That's a real town. Boz's Hot Dogs. It's B-O-Z, and then it's like a smiling, like licking its lips face. And the story.
Hi, I'm Boz.
The story is that
the worst name ever. B-O-Z.
Yeah.
the story is that it was called Bozo's Hot Dogs, but then Bozo the Clown was like, no, you can't use it.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that story is true or
So
not.
they kept Boz's.
Yeah, they're like, all right,
Like,
fine.
we'll turn the
B-O-Z,
second
and
O
we'll
into a
into a smiley face. I bought.
Sam, pull the O. I just got a call from the lawyer. Pull the O.
I bought Chuck one of their shirts.
Boz's is the worst name ever.
I bought
B-O-Z. a Boz.
Yep.
Boz's
It does not roll off the tongue.
He goes there all the time.
I do. I enjoy it when I'm home. I'll go there.
He goes there twice a year, every all the time.
Listen, we had Flo's hot dogs.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No,
know what I
Brad's
mean?
got Shoops. He's got Boz's.
Shoop's hamburgers. Yeah.
What is happening here in Indiana?
That's a
I want
Gobbler's
to go.
Knob.
This is so
You know
fun
what? Hold on.
because
It's in Cherville.
these are so like I hear them and I go, that is a Midwest thing.
Oh yeah.
When he
But
goes,
every time you say one, I'm like, why did they do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
when he goes home, he goes to Gobbler's Knob, he goes to Fort Wayne, and he goes to French Lick.
French Lick.
French Lick. That's where Larry Bird played basketball. That's correct.
It's not even ice cream.
They called him the Hick from French Lick. It's a town in Indiana. I didn't make this up.
All I
Brad
want to
used to
know
work-
is what they were doing when they named it.
like
There's
a
this
Salt
guy
Lick.
that works at Boz, big nose. They call him the schnoz at Boz.
That's not true.
No.
I wish it were true.
The idea though of like the French Lick, to me, it's like it's the 1800s.
Yeah.
They're figuring out like ley lines for everything, and they're like, "What are we gonna call it?" And I just picture one guy who's just like, "I know what we should call it.
It was a Salt Lick.
It should be a leak." A French.
Gobbler's Knob.
Let's call it a French leak. You know the lick that I showed you in the wagon? Let's call it that.
French Lick is suggestive.
It is. Are you kidding me?
And so is Toby's Knob.
Floyd's
Knob.
Floyd
Knob.
and Toby are the same.
Floyd
They're very similar.
Mayweather's.
And then
Yeah.
Fort
penis.
Wayne, that's crazy.
It's again Fort Wayne after the
Yeah,
general
Fort Wayne, yeah.
Mad
Isn't that
Anthony
Fort
Wayne.
Wayne?
No, you
No.
said it's Fort Wayne.
This is impossible. We already have silly names coming from you that are real and legitimate.
It's also Santa
but then
Claus,
they go
Indiana.
through your carousel of a fucking brain,
Yeah.
and they come out and they are a completely different thing. And you're just like, I love the idea of like real shit coming in and cartoon coming out is so funny to me. I can see your brain doing this.
French lick is real.
Yes.
Gobbler's Knob,
Not real.
Fort Wayne,
Not real. Fort Wayne, real.
Yeah.
Toyd's Knob. Floyd's Knob.
Floyd toyed. Oh no, that's a past tense. He toyed with his knob. Christ Almighty! I'm calling 911.
Yes.
This has
That's
been
the
a lot
right
of fun.
decision. Yes.
If you listener or viewer, if you are here only because you're a fan of Jason Lee and you wanted to watch that interview, we hope that you enjoyed it sincerely.
Yes.
We're sorry about the rest of this, but I do think it's a decent flavor of some of what Funbearable is about, right?
Maybe whenever we look back on special times in our lives, we should have a name for those. Like, just like maybe my clit when I was 20, episode 1, malls. Maybe my clit when I was 20, episode 2. Like, that's just our name for it, because that's Brad told the story.
No,
veto. Hard veto.
Yeah.
But you're the one that told the story.
Medium veto right over here.
You're the one that told me to tell the story.
But she's the one who told me the tale to tell the story in the first place.
Hi, 911?
Yes.
There are two boys fighting each other.
I'm going to grab Chuck around the waist.
Meet me at Gobbler's Knob.
They're outside of Boz's hot dogs. Boz's hot dogs.
I'll go home. I will get 2 chili dogs and a Bozito. It's just chili cheese nachos.
And they call it a Bozito?
B-O-Z-I-T-O.
Which is like a burrito, but it's just fucking fries.
And also, by the way, it should be a Bozito, not a Bozito.
It might be pronounced Bozito. I've always said Bozito.
What if it's Boses?
You know what? I've called. They said Boz's.
Brad got me a Boz's.
Okay.
Brad got me a Boz's t-shirt.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because he loves the name so much.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Thank you all for sticking with us. Somewhat chaotic episode. I hope you've learned some things about capitalism and
about Indiana
and how your job
and teens
doesn't have your best interest in mind.
Yes.
True.
Always remember that your job is not going to tuck you in at night. Okay?
Yeah.
Your job will not be by your bedside
Someday,
when you pass.
Yeah, someday you're going to look back and say, I wish I was 20.
Yep. And also, if you're a new listener or viewer, because of our wonderful Jason Lee interview, which really was a fun time, and I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. And but no, I love that, and big fan of Jason Lee, and I'm so happy that
And
happened.
Ethan Suplee also.
Yeah,
Killer.
of course. So jealous.
I know.
I had my in with Ethan.
I know.
Oh,
Well,
I
now
had
we
to-
have an in. Now I'm the in.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Interesting little tidbit. I looked at his Instagram stories when I was tagging him in posts afterwards. His buddy Stavros Halkias was there with him, and then I spent Mark's wedding with Stavros.
That's really
from
fun.
Cumtown.
Now,
They're
see,
friends.
my in is Reed Carolyn, who was the director of Dog and the writer of Magic Mike.
My in is actually probably Kevin Smith, I guess.
My in is Reed Carolyn, the
I'm out.
director.
I'm out.
Well, what I'm trying to angle for is I want to be a stripper in Magic Mike.
I think they
4?
Magic Mike 3.
I
Gobbler's
think
Knob.
Magic Mike 3, the final dance or something
Yeah.
is. There was a trailer for it in Chuck's YouTube history.
So I got a chance still.
Yeah.
Maybe they bring me in for reshoots like
Yeah.
they did with Rogue One.
You
Right.
could be
And
Gobbler's
it's all
Knob.
me.
That could be your stripper's name.
No, my stripper name is Boz. Boz the body.
All right, folks, if you want to reach out to us, we're on social
My point
Oh,
was,
dang
I'm
it,
sorry.
so
My
close.
point was, if you are new to this, please join us for more episodes.
Yeah, subscribe.
Because there's a lot of fun stuff that we do here. So make
Yeah.
sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next thing. Because we do have a lot of fun stuff
For sure.
coming out. We have stuff planned that we're excited for.
For sure.
So it'll be a lot of fun. That's all I wanted to say.
We are on social media at FunbearablePod on all the social medias, or you can send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com. Happy to hear from you. Thank you all so much. I'm Brad Rohr.
I'm Chuck Staten.
I'm Ray the Boz Body Harrington.
Thank you all so much. We're sorry for being funbearable.
Nice.
A lot of clit talk.